Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazin' Bob, and joined by my favorite co-host, Mel, aka Melarina. How you doing? Muted. She's doing awesome.
That's why I'm your favorite, right?
Because you're muted?
Yeah. It's the only time I get that kind of introduction.
And we're also joined by Decamp. Welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Hello. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you for coming. And joining the show once again, crowd fave, Winky, a.k.a. Pinky. How you doing?
AKA Pinky. I'm good. Yeah. I'm doing great, Bob. Thanks for the. I've never had anyone call me Pinky in my life.
No, I've done it before because we were talking about we were talking about the size of certain things, and I was like, well, he used to be called Pinky.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay, but in context now. Yeah,
I think it was that night that we were like we were running dungeons and pretty drunk or something. I forget what it was.
Oh yeah. Okay, I remember that night. Yeah.
This is quite often.
Yeah, I remember that. I'm glad to be here though, dude.
Well, thank you for coming. All right, I'd like to start off the show by thanking our tank patrons and Thick Lizzie, Croxford, Braxton, and Turtle Whale. I want to let you guys know that we stream the show live on Twitch sometime between Friday and Sunday, and that's at twitch.tv/BlazinBob, BlazinBob. We have the new Discord server. There's lots of conversation going on. There's questions you can ask there for the show. It's a good time. We encourage you to join. It is discord.me/Warcraft Reloaded, or go to warcraftreloaded.com and the links are there. Also, the call-in voicemail is 816-866-1066, or you can go to speakpipe.com/Warcraft Reloaded. We're going to start the show off with what we've been doing as of late. Then we're going to hit the news, during which time we'll play one of our voicemails, and then we have a Discord question that we're going to talk about at the end, and then we'll possibly have another voicemail to go over if we have time, but we are limited today. So, that being said, let's get this party started. What you guys been doing?
What order you want to do it in?
Yeah.
I just love letting everybody choose.
You go ahead.
Oh God, no! I think Decamp should go.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to be Canadian about it. After you.
Sorry. All right.
So I'm sorry.
I have been doing my thing, man. I've been playing on my. I got another character. We got our duo. Me and Melderon got our duo at a level 60 on hardcore. So that's my third hardcore character. I got my paladin 60. I got a warlock to 60, and I got a mage to 60.
Damn.
Two of them were duos. One of them was solo. The warlock was solo. So yeah, I've been having fun, man. I've been playing. I've been playing some Diablo 4 since it came out off stream, because I don't think Diablo 4 is really a great stream game for whatever reason. But yeah, it's just
literally I'll have like 45 people. We'll switch over to Diablo, and all of a sudden 12.
Like 3.
Yeah, it's just not a good stream game. It's like there's not much really to go. It's the kind of game where you just want to turn off your brain and just like slash things. Well,
I can still talk. I can talk during it actually almost easier than I can WoW though.
I can't. I cannot do that. Yeah.
It's the fact that you're not. Yeah, we are World of Warcraft streamers.
Yes.
Yep.
And therefore, when we are not playing World of Warcraft, people
that I'm a total noob there too.
Yes, you do not exist anymore.
Yep. Which is kind of unfortunate.
Decamp, what was harder, leveling solo or trying to level with Melderon?
So leveling as a duo is super easy, but leveling with Melderon is a pain in the ass. He is such a oh my god, dude! Like he complains. Well, I complain about everything, and then he complains about me complaining. But no, seriously, it's a lot of fun with Melderon. It's just like, he was playing a rogue this time around, and he was like so like RPing as a rogue. Like he would sit there and just wait. Like he would wait until like at the very end, the mob has like 2% health, and then cheap shot. Like, what are you doing? Just start hitting it. And, like, I don't know. It was a lot of fun playing with him, but it was like so
you
funny.
have to really love somebody to duo hardcore with them, right?
Remember, you're doing every second of it with this person, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be
you
interesting.
really want to test your bond.
Oh yeah,
level of hardcore duo.
And we have done duos before, and we have failed. The famous clip with Graze when we died in the Barrens. And he almost killed me. Yeah, so
that was the best.
We have been through a lot together as far as doing duos, but I'm really psyched for hardcore to come out the 24th. Because, like at first I was a little upset about some of the differences and how things were going to be. And now I'm kind of excited, like, because, I'm leveling a warrior up right now. And I'm kind of excited to see how the changes are going to make things different now. You know what I mean? And like, I'm kind of...
we're going to go over some of those too.
Yeah. So like we can save them for later. But as we're getting closer and closer, I'm actually getting more and more excited for this. So I'm going to be playing an undead rogue, and I'm really excited for it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Me and Classic Go did a duo to 20, and then like the new TOGC came out and everything, and we had to do 1 billion heroic pluses, but like Go's like the nicest person in the world, and I could hear in his voice sometimes the frustration coming out, and I was like, okay, I better get my ass into gear here.
Yeah, it's with Melderon. Yeah, sometimes he gets pretty angry at me, but we had a lot of fun. Like there were a lot of really good clips and of like just crazy stuff happening. And Mage Rogue is a super strong duo as well, and we pretty much took on everything that we could.
It's awesome. What about you, Mr. Wink?
What have I been doing? Not playing hardcore. Well, I kind of have actually. It's just in a different way, but I've been preserving my burnout for official because I am in the race for. I'm going to be racing for World First Warlock to 60, and then I'm in Frontier, so we're going to be going for the whole.
I'm in
World
Frontier
first,
too.
like every raid.
Yeah, I'm in there too, but I'm social. I'm gonna have to. I'm going warrior, and I'm gonna go hard and fast. And if I make it,
if you're one of the first,
I'll ask.
Yeah, if you're one of the first like 35 people to 60, you're on the raid team, right? That's kind of how it's working at this point. So it's I'm saving the burnout, right? Because I know we only have 12 days until launch, so I'm enjoying my 12 days of touching grass before going, because my schedule for launch is going to be like 18 hours gaming and then 6 hours of sleep, if that, maybe even 20 hours gaming, 4 hours of sleep for the first like 2 weeks. So it's going to be a nightmare. So I'm cognizant of that, right? I'm like meal prepping now.
I'm
eating.
I'm gonna make a big old thing of chili and have it in different Tupperwares. Like,
I'm like preserving fat storage on my body so I can like not eat. And, like,
I actually thought about.
Me too.
Well, what I thought about. See, I do like once a month or once every 2 months. I do a 48 hour to 72 hour fast. I was thinking about doing my fast during that.
Launch?
But if I do that, it's dangerous.
Yeah, but you're cloudy, like your brain's a little.
It's not just. No, you actually like after the first 24 hours, you go into a new state, and you're like actually much more acute and everything. But the problem is,
but that first 24 hours.
Let me finish. Yeah. The problem is not getting the proper sleep during those times is kind of dangerous during a fast. Whereas, because I've been drinking a ton of caffeine to stay up, so. I'm not positive. Like I'm still not positive if I'm going to do that, but I might.
Once a year, I do a 7-day fast, and usually the first
7 days.
3 days. Yeah, I just drink water.
That's
I just
drink water and black coffee. But you're not supposed to go over 72 hours.
I live the way it works. I don't know. It works for me.
Dangerously.
Interesting. Yeah.
He's still alive, so
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's cultures out there that do fasts for 30 days. Like, I feel like that 7 days isn't that crazy.
I don't think so. I did a lot of research on it, but
usually,
we should probably
like the first 3 days for me is terrible. Like I'm like super lethargic. I want to fall asleep.
The first 24 hours is the worst for me, and then the next 2 days is easy.
Believe it or not, I used to. I know you guys probably don't believe, but I'll show you a picture. I'll send it to you, Bob. I used to be really skinny, and I was more
I've
of
seen
like
a bunch of yours. Yeah, I've seen a bunch of yours when you were young.
I have gone over 7 days without eating.
That was because
of me there. If you wanted to show it to stream,
that was because of other substances, though.
Yeah, well,
I did the same thing when I was having a bad time when I was younger.
Yeah, so like when I was on drugs, I would basically not eat to get high. But I would go. I also before that, I would go like 6-7 days without eating, and it's not good. One of the bad things about that is like when you do eat, your body just turns all that into fat because it thinks that you're starving, so it just turns everything into fat, and it's like one of the bad sides about it. But yeah,
that's what starts happening after 72 hours. It's really like a 48-hour fast once a month is super healthy. Any more than once a month, not healthy.
Yeah, it's all like, I mean, it's everything in life. It's moderation, right? Like do what you're doing and enjoy what you enjoy, just in moderation, and that includes healthy stuff, right? If you drink too much water too fast, you can die.
True.
Right? You get too much sunlight, you can die.
True.
So just everything in moderation. But you know what I've actually been doing?
Yeah. What have you been doing?
This is going to sound so cringe, but just hear me out. All right. I have started a role-playing guild.
That sounds awesome.
On Bloodsail Buccaneers, and we're doing hardcore, right? It's hardcore, but it's the only hardcore rule is that it's death equals delete because it's a role-playing guild. If your character dies, your character dies, right?
Yeah, and you need to have people to role play with, or it's kind of silly.
Oh, dude! So it's actually been so fun. So I have these. It's basically survival role play. So I have a stamina bar that where it runs down as you're running on your character, and in order for it to go up, you have to like stop moving or sit or RP walk, right? Then I have a hunger and a thirst meter that goes down, and if those reach 0, you die of starvation or thirst, right? So like I'm playing a warrior and I'm buying
7 days
water,
without eating,
right? Yeah, no, you can go 30 minutes.
There's no fasting involved.
But it's been so fun because it's like I'm streaming it with the camera off. I have no UI because I don't like I'm role playing. My character doesn't know where his health is at. He just know that shit hurts, right? So I have no health bar. I have no UI. I only have these 3 bars to go off of, and like I've got like a
no health bar. It's hardcore.
Yeah. So my first character got to level 9. No, I've only died once. It was my warrior got to level 9, and it was the most fun I've ever had playing warrior in my life. God. I'm just like RP walking around. I've got reverb on a voice changer for like the inner monologue. So I'll be like talking to someone, and then I'll mute my mic, and then I'll talk through reverb so that chat can hear like what my character's thinking at that moment, like during the conversation. It's pretty cool, and we've got like this whole guild system where we give out fake quests. Like we make our own role-playing quests up. Awesome. If you complete them, you get like BOE items that other guildies have found, plus guild renown. So like each quest is worth a certain amount of renown, and then you collect your renown, and that's how you rank up within the guild. And it's pretty cool. So my warrior Timideus died. So now I'm playing a dwarf rogue named Tomadeus, who's essentially James Bond. I have like I redid the whole James Bond intro for my dwarf rogue with like the music and everything. And he's, it's just been really fun as something to do waiting for hardcore to come out. But I think at this point, after like the world first raiding push and stuff, and like hardcore hype starts to die down a little bit, I think we're going to bring it back up on the hardcore server and just continue the role playing. It is so fun.
It could be fun. Yeah. Okay.
That's hilarious.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
What about you, Mel?
Well, Bob's been making me do heroic plus dungeons with him. Very reluctantly, I've agreed to do this. They're not fun. I don't care. Well, okay, they're not
fun
bad.
if you're going for something, right?
Well, I mean, they're just like, it's not like you log on and do a couple. Bob wants to log on and do like 20, right?
Well, you could only do like
like
12 or 13 or something a day.
Okay. Well, he wants to log on and do like 10.
Yeah,
and
we
I'm
do like 9.
Okay. We did 2, and I was like, okay. And he was like, all right, so we're gonna go do, and I was like, what? Wait, what? And he was like, yeah, we're gonna go do these other 2 over here. And I was like, how many of these are we planning to do? Just so I can.
I was like, the next 3 hours, however many we get in.
No.
You did though.
But we did. It's fine. He's gonna help me pay for my Valinir.
Yeah. So that's the ticket right there. Yeah, Mel's gonna be finishing her Valinir. We were able to secure her a spot in a weekly GDKP that does Yogg 0 and everything. So she'll be for sure getting. Well, we try Yogg 0 once, maybe twice, and then switch it over to Yogg 1, depending on the group. But usually we get Yogg 0 down. So it's like a guaranteed 4, usually 5, sometimes 6 shards a week plays. But, you know, the price goes up with the caliber of raid you're with. So it's 8K a shard. So,
Oof.
But, you know, you're going in hour and 20-minute runs, you know, so like it's super nice.
How many shards do you need for Valinir?
Oh, just like 18.
Good God.
Yeah.
That's a lot of gold, Bob.
That's a lot of gold.
Yeah, well, I raid on 4 different characters, and you know, I just do the newest raids with my guild. So even my mains, my 2 mains are in other like stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, it's 30
I have
shards?
12. Yeah.
Yep.
So
yes, but I have 12 already.
Right.
So you need 240,000 gold if you wanted to buy.
Well, and also she'll be
yeah.
gaining, you know, anywhere from, depending on the night for the Oldora run, 8 to 15K, you know, at the end of each run.
So spending a casual $1 million gold on an item, or a $250,000 gold on an item in World of Warcraft.
No, it's not. No, it's for like 5. So 20 shards would be 160K.
Yeah, but if you need 30,
well, she's got 40K. Yeah, but she's got 12.
But did you pay for them, or did you get them with one?
No, I got them with my guild.
Yeah, she got, because we stopped. Doesn't run it anymore? Yeah, we stopped. Like we ran it one more time after the patch hit, but then didn't run after. I don't know why. I feel like it's crazy, but
yeah, like, you should definitely run it still.
It is kind of nice though, being able to go to GDKP and make good money with those main characters that don't.
Well, you're making the money. Mel's using hers, right? Yeah.
Well, she's using mine too. She doesn't have that type of money, so yeah. So she helped me.
Would you say GDKPs are even more like inherently like a part of Wrath than they were in Classic?
Oh yeah, it's grown with each expansion. Although I was on White Man, which was like a very big beginning of the GDKP era. Like there was a ton of them there, but it's really fun. Like I feel like the main people in my GDKP group are kind of like just a different type of guild. Like we're all buddies. Like we go do stuff after the GDKP and stuff too. Like
I feel like GDKP.
I'm in pummels, you know, essence, so it's like a different thing.
I know this is like the billionth time, because like GDKPs are like the discussion when it comes to like classic WoW. And the more and more I like play Wrath, and the more I experience it, like I'm just slowly starting to realize, like classic WoW is straight up doomed. like GDKPs are oftentimes better than guild runs now, right? Eventually guilds just aren't going to exist unless they're guilds specifically running GDKPs as a guild.
Well, it's just
which means in order to like play the game, you're going to have to buy gold. And if you're going to have to buy gold, that means you're going to have to be fueling the bots. And then it's
there is another way
of like buying gold, doing GDKPs.
There's another way. Like you can start out doing the the crap GDKPs too, and there's tons of ways to farm now. Like, I mean, there's a black
Here's the
Black
thing: like, how
Temple
much do you
farm now
make?
for rogues that you could make 1,000 gold an hour, or probably even 1,500 an hour.
The reason you make that gold an hour is because the economy is so inflated because of bots, right? Like,
but once you get in, you start to make gold. Like I make more than I
was gonna
spend.
say, so if you don't buy
Yeah, but to
anything,
get
how
in,
much
you have
do you
to be
make?
geared, right? You have to be geared. You have to have already gotten
Or know
so, like,
somebody.
or know some. So the problem is, right, is like you join a good guild, right? So like I was really lucky in Classic and TBC because our guild did all the content that we needed to do. But now, like you said, Mel, what's happening is people are like, oh well, there's GDKPs out there, so we're not going to do Yogg anymore. We're not going to do Old War anymore because you can just join a GDKP. So what it does is it turns guilds lazier to not want to do.
That's definitely
content.
true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and well,
But does it
we're
help
seeing
the-
it with Mel's Valenu though, right? Like we're already seeing the negative repercussion of like guilds are just saying like, why would we do that old content? You can just go do it in a GDKP if you
Exactly.
want it. Like, and
but they asked Mel
from the
before.
entire like aspect of WoW.
yeah, they
Yeah, I mean,
like,
they
they
asked
did
me
ask
before they
Mel
gave me
before.
the 12 shards.
They
If-
said we want to give this to
if I'd be
someone who's
willing to
willing
finish
to
it on
do
my
them.
own.
Yeah, who's going to do it.
Yeah.
If
And
the guild didn't do them,
There
I
is
am.
soft res runs for shards. They're just not good, you know. But
yeah, but that's the problem. I think as time goes on, right, more and more players are going to be preferring GDKPs because the better players are going to these GDKPs and they're the better runs. There's GDKPs on Benediction that I'm watching that are like better than 90% of the server, right?
Mhm.
Like they're just better raid teams. And it's like, eventually, what do you like?
well, that's because
Eventually
they're
it's just a
comprised.
perpetual cycle.
Yeah, like
of
my
negativity.
GDKP is comprised of lots of, you know, fusion alts and good guild alts. So these people know how to play the game, right? So that's why, like, you know, they might not be the best at that character, but they know how to play the game. But that's the biggest problem with a lot of people is that they don't even understand boss mechanics, you know? So like, but GDKPs are really nice in the sense that I'm going to be going out of town with Mel here next month. In my GDKP, I'm not gonna feel bad at all because they're gonna be able to fill. I'm not gonna sign up, but my guild raid, I'm an off tank. I'm gonna feel like really shitty, right? Like,
Mhm.
Yeah. Or depending on your loot system, you're going to be put behind on something that might drop that you could get.
nah,
It's an interesting problem.
they don't do that in ours though. Like they don't screw people over for that type of real life stuff.
I want to see a fresh come out. This is such like a dream, right? But I want to see a fresh come out where Blizzard is very like adamant about banning bots.
It's never gonna happen.
Not allowing character transfers to or from these fresh servers, and then like disallowing GDKPs and just see what happens. Like
I
what
liked
happens on those
Simonize
servers. Right?
I loved Simonize's idea where basically you kind of change the emblem system, and there's an emblem system set up just for he's got a video on it, but yeah, it's like just for raids, and then emblems are like auto dispersed at the end to everybody, so you can't trade emblems. Like you could only do it with I mean, people would find a way to like game it somehow, you know, but like he was trying to come up with a way, because the GDKP system is, if you take out bots and buying gold, it is the ultimate like best way to like raid casually, right?
I'm really worried about what's going to happen in classic hardcore with GDKPs. I don't think
we'll see one. I literally don't think you'll ever see.
I think you'll barely see raids in hardcore.
Think about it like this: you're going to have people who are going to probably even potentially use real life money. Like,
I don't think you'll see raids.
There could even be GDKP like dungeon groups.
Maybe
I don't think it's going to be a thing, Dev. And here's why. Okay, I'll give you my idea on why I think, because we've had this discussion a lot with like Graves for Days and a bunch of the homies within the hardcore like circle. GDKPs in a hardcore environment are going to be so scary to raid in, because oftentimes the idea is you're bringing enough people to get a payout that you probably don't know, right? I don't think you'd see a full GDKP because you want to rate, like hardcore rating is going to be very difficult to get into. I think
few and far between.
If you're a fresh character hitting 60 that's looking for a guild, you're going to have to like play with that guild in 5-mans, get to know the people on the raid team, and then like be trusted enough to not wipe a raid when they bring you in.
I kind of disagree, man. I feel like it's going to be a lot easier. So I think we're looking at how hardcore was with the add-on, right? It was a lot harder. Now that we're going to be able to do multiple dungeons, even though it's a 24-hour lockout, you could potentially have groups selling dungeon runs. Really good geared people who have done dungeons, selling dungeon runs for 1 or 2 slots for people to get gear in dungeons. And then I think that ultimately
that'll definitely happen.
And I think that will ultimately end up happening, in raiding. What's going to happen is the game will be out for a little bit. You'll have people who are super geared, like BWL, AQ40 geared, running GDKP, maybe even BWL, but definitely GDKP MCs. And I think that's going to be, I think it's going to be a lot easier.
It's going to be that simple, though. I think because the people that are incredibly geared, have gone through Molten Core and BWL. I don't think they're going to want to risk their character because Joe Schmo is offering to bring 2,000 gold in his bags to go fight Ragnaros, right? If you suck at the game, I don't want you on my raid team in hardcore. Right?
I think there's gonna be less spots available, but I think there's still gonna be like, I think it's gonna be like only bring like 2 people, but like it's gonna be a ton of money.
Yeah, like, that was my next point though, is like if you're only gonna bring 2 people, I think the meta is not gonna be GDKPs, it's just gonna be selling gear. It's gonna be like, okay, we're bringing in 2 buyers. We're giving them Petri flasks and we're requiring them to Petri on every single fight. We are going to hard carry these people and they're buying bindings, right?
Yep.
I think that's kind of like what the meta would be.
Could be a thing.
Because that way your guild that's incredibly, that's been doing it for a long time, can safely carry these people and like get them gear and make money out of it. But I definitely do think level 59s are going to be keeping their characters at 59. Like people are going to level mages and hunters to 59 and just leave them there and sell like Dead Mines runs. They're going to sell stockades runs. Like, do you want to buy a Cruel Barb for 20 gold? Yeah, come on in and I'll run I'm level 59. The reason you have to do 59 for anyone who's listening is because due to the hardcore server changes, you cannot group with someone that is level 60 and run a dungeon unless you are also level 60.
So that's what I think that's going to be more of a problem than anything is the dungeon runs. I think that's going to be
and they're going to be 10 times the player base, maybe even 100 times the player base at the low levels. So like if you're going to want to make money, like gold, you're probably better off selling to those level 20 rogues who just died, bought 200 gold off some website, and then they're running around with double fiery weapon trying to get a Cruel Barb, right? Because those players are going to die again. Decamp, you've seen it for years in hardcore. You're one of the first people that started hardcore. Yeah. The amount of people that get good gear or world buffs and then still die with it.
Oh yeah. It happens all the time.
You die with world buffs more than you don't because you get so like you think you're just the strongest person. Yeah. I'm
going to put a pin in this for right now because we've talked to death on this show about GDKPs, but we can get into it more when we go to the hardcore stuff. But I'm just going to finish this part out, then we'll move on to the news. We'll talk more about hardcore if that is cool with you guys.
Sounds good.
Sure.
Okay, so where I was at, what I was doing. Oh no, Mel, did you finish what you were doing? No, you hadn't.
Yeah, I did. That was all.
For me, I've been playing a ton. Worked up a new feral druid, quested during the day to level, and then during the night would play Diablo with Mel while I got boosted in the background. It was glorious. Then I signed up in my GDKP for a Old War 10, all hard mode skip, and and I signed up for Tuesday because I wanted to make sure that I had gear. So Friday, I planned Mel was supposed to go see Ed Sheeran on a girls' night out, like 9 girls going to see it at Arrowhead Stadium, 80K tickets, sold. Like, so I was gonna do heroic pluses the whole night, get gear, learn my rotation, learn how to play, and then a few hours before the concert, we got a call that one of the girls called in sick, and does Bobby want to come? And so I was like, I can be Bobby with an IE tonight. Let's go. So I was there at girls' night. One of the girls, I was being fabulous. And yeah, Ed Sheeran was amazing. But I did get to work up my druid that night. We stayed out till 4:30 in the morning and then finally got home. But yeah, I don't know why I party so hard with as old as I am. Like, I don't see how it's possible, but good genes, I guess. I don't know. But so then I planned Monday, like I did something else. So but I was planning to play the entire day, Tuesday, doing heroic pluses, getting gear so I didn't come as just a horrible rat, right off the bat, and learning my rotation. Well, I look at the thing, and they've swapped my warrior with my druid. And now I'm going Monday in 2 hours to raid on the druid, and I didn't even know what my buttons were. Like, all I had to use to work up was just a few buttons, and it's a completely different behind the back rotation and stuff. And so this is
the problem with getting boosted, Bob.
Yeah.
Well,
this is why you shouldn't.
It still wouldn't have
Bob.
mattered if I didn't have run dungeons. I would have never because a lot of the stuff you have to do from behind, and so leveling, it's literally just mangle, and if they don't die, bite, and then your defenses and different stuff. You would have done some
dungeons though, and you would have learned a little bit more.
No, I did a lot of dungeons. But
would you sit there and just wait till you gather an XP?
My friends came and carried me through so I could get the quest done and I could get all the
do a lot of dungeons.
Right.
I attacked stuff. No, it was actually mostly the mere casuals guys. Took it, ran me through a bunch of stuff, and then some other buddies ran me through, but usually just once or twice, because until you get to a certain spot, it wasn't really worth it. But so I get a hold of Table Slam, friend of the show. I'm like, dude, I need to learn how to play Feral Druid in an hour. Can you help me? And he came on, gave me training. I, of course, still sucked it up that night, but I knew what to do. And then I've been getting slowly better. And today last night I did TOGC 25, 4 hard modes, and then normal, a noob. And I felt pretty good about it. And then I've just, it's all muscle memory. So before I go on the next raid, I'm just going to sit on a dummy for an hour and a half, and I should have it, pretty down.
Like the Feral Druid, because it's different than a lot of other, it's skilled.
I'm liking it. It's very similar for lots of stuff correlates, because my 2 mains, there's Rogue, and Druid, and Combat Rogue specifically, which is a lot more similar to Druid. So I've been having a blast with him. He's 4.9K gear score now. And I just did a couple side reel essence dungeons here, after my 2 raids this morning, and got my runestone. So feeling pretty good. And then I've just been raiding. I raid Old War, 25 3 times a week. Old War 10 2 times a week.
Christ, dude.
TOC 10 and 25 44 times a week.
How do you not get burnt out, Bob?
I enjoy raiding.
I'm playing my Shadow Priest on Wrath, and I'll do a 2 soft reserve or some raid, and then I'm good. After I've done the raid once, each raid once per week, I'm just okay, this is good. I'm happy now. I've done the raids, I
love self-improving. I love I just love raiding. I really enjoy it, and I make a ton of money while doing it. It just feels good.
I guess I can't say anything because a lot of people ask. I'm sure they would ask me in Decamp how we've been playing characters that we delete. for
I
3
mean,
years.
I love that
know?
too. Like,
Uh,
so I mean, like, I just like, I don't know. Wrath is really freaking good. I still love Ulduar. I still love doing the hard modes. Like,
Is Wrath your favorite, Bob? Is that your favorite expansion?
Wrath is definitely by far my favorite. I was pretty sure that was the case before Classic started, and now I'm positive.
it's all about TBC.
What's
dude.
funny is I thought I liked TBC, but TBC happened, and I was like, I did not like that. I did not have a good time.
I love everything about TBC.
Maybe I shouldn't have been a warlock. Def on this show tried to warn me, and I thought he was making a joke when he was talking about just if you like to hit Shadow Bolt, you're gonna love it and see huge crits. And I did see huge crits, and it was great, like twice. You know, like, but like playing like a real like combat rogue, feral druid, prot warrior. These things are like really hard, and I think that's what keeps me so in it because I get to improve a little bit every raid, and like it's really fun. Like, so I don't know, like I love it.
I think next time around, when it comes to if Blizzard ever does like a reset of Classic, right? Like from the beginning, I think I'm just going to start my own guild, and the intent of it is going to be zero fucks about like meta. Like I don't want to stack my raid with warriors in Classic. I want to bring like a boomkin into Nax, right? Like I want to go into TBC letting combat rogues do things and not having like a dedicated expose. But like I don't care if we have
they still sucked even if they didn't. Yeah, even if they didn't expose, they still sucked. Like it was so bad.
Be cool to like let people play their class fantasy the way that they enjoy playing the class, and then instead of like what parses the best as a guild and like what gets you through the raid 15 minutes faster than another guild that night. Like I've done that, and I think I'm at the point now where I just want to go back to having fun with World of Warcraft.
See, I'm not into like the speed running stuff. Like I'm into just myself getting me better every week, and I don't worry about other people. You know what I mean? Like,
so I feel like our guild has always had, not the ideal composition.
Yeah, we've never went with the
people
ideal
to play certain, classes or specs, and we've always had a couple that are like spec, right? And you're like, okay, whatever.
I like the personal growth aspect, right? Like this is why I play a warlock in Classic. Like I'm literally a Curse of Wreck bot. That's all I press the Curse of Wreck button, right? But there's still self-improvement on like you can see what you did wrong on one fight, and like the next week you try and improve upon your personal parse. Like I don't care my class is like dog shit compared to warriors, right? In terms of overall DPS, I care more about where do I stack up with the other warlocks in the world.
Right.
Like
I make
that's
the
way
joke
cooler to me.
Yeah, I make the joke about TBC. It wasn't actually like all Shadow Bolt. I had 4 different Shadow Bolt macros that did different things, like take different types of potions or hit trinkets, or so I did have 4 different Shadow Bolts, but still, it's there's a lot about like getting the right dot uptime. There is nuance to getting 99s, so. But it just wasn't hard. It was just you had to think it out really well for each fight. Whereas now, every character I play, you not only have to think it out for every fight, but playing is hard. Like, and you move a ton, and like, especially I think I also enjoy just melee more. But
dude, I gotta say, now that you bring that up, Bob, I've been leveling a warrior, and I've never leveled a warrior past level 40. I totally get it. I totally get why people love Warrior so fucking much. It is like driving a Porsche. It is like
dude,
like so
get to
I
60,
got my whirlwind axe.
Get world buffs, and like you're driving a freaking Ferrari, dude.
And I was able to do when they did the PvP thing, and they gave everyone like a template gear. I made a warrior, and I was people were just falling over. But getting to level 40, getting my whirlwind axe, and getting Mortal Strike from before, what it was like, I had the big stick fucking, item, like horrible. I was hitting like a noodle. And then I got my whirlwind axe, I got whirlwind, and then I got Mortal Strike. Bob, I get it. I understand why people love Warrior so much. It is not only is it so cool, but like you get to you get to play it the way like Melderon gave you all these macros, right? So like you're
Yep.
stance dancing, you're moving in different stances. I start off, I charge, I wait till I get a certain amount of rage, I pop sweeping strikes, I do a cleave, and then I go into berserker stance, do a whirlwind, and everything around me is just dead. And it's like, but you feel like you're in such control of the class, and it's my God, it's beautiful, man.
Yep.
It's fucking beautiful.
Yep. I was actually thinking about, like, I saw Simonize in a classic era Nax run, and I was like, dude, I paid that $15 to keep my character there. I should go on a Nax run, like with my freaking Bist out character. Now I don't have Bist weapons, but I have Maladath and the Chromatic Blade. Actually, no, I think I switched to some mace that you get. I don't know. I have a bunch of weapons. I just don't have the 2 Bist ones from KT, but I could go back and get those. But everything else is Bist. Like, I'm just like a Bist out dude. So I thought about just doing that just for like fun. So, but yeah, the Warrior, I had never played it. I played Rogue all through, the original trilogy, and then like a little like PvP at the start of TBC with the lock. But like I switched to Warrior in Classic, and it was a slow burn. I had a lot to learn. Like I was so bad. Like I had,
that's the cool thing about
I had Whirlwind for tons of levels. I can't even remember, and I didn't even have it on my bar. Like
that was Melderon with Cheap Shot. He was like, when did I get Cheap Shot or Kidney Shot? I'm like, dude, you got to check your fucking book, because like, oh my God, I've had it for like 14 levels.
Yep, but I did learn. I watched a lot of content, a lot of stuff, and learned. And by the end, I was 99 parsing in Classic Vanilla. But yeah, it's fun.
Warriors.
Yeah, dude, my Warriors just started to pump it out too in Wrath. Like my Fury, that took forever, but now I'm just pumping.
Yeah, dude. I was gonna say in hardcore too, like leveling a Warrior, because like at first when you don't have good gear, you're very scared of everything. I mean, I was almost dying to mobs by level.
Yeah, you got a hamstring kite for a while.
Yeah, you got a hamstring kite. You got a I was using Demo Shout. And Thunderclap to make their attack slower and for them to hit less. And like I was thunderclapping, demo shouting like single target like you know what I mean, like mobs that were like lower my level. And then you get some gear, and then you're just like things just start falling over. But that's the beauty of it. It's like you get rewarded for playing this class. If you stay with it and you get to a higher level, you really feel like you've been rewarded, and like you're like, here you go, here's a couple of pieces of nice gear, here's some more abilities. The fact that you don't get like Pummel and like Whirlwind and like all these abilities to like level 40, it kind of sucks, but it also makes hitting like around level 40 so much fun.
Yep.
And you're forced to tank too. That's the other thing. Like it's like I've been a healer my whole life, right? I've healed, I've always healed. I've done some tanking when I played in Wrath. I tanked as a prop paladin and as a druid, but that was as far as my tanking went. And being thrown in there, it's like, hey, you want to do this dungeon, you're gonna have to tank it. I'm having a blast tanking, man. I really am. Like, I feel like such a badass. Like I'm the fucking leader here, in the group, and people are, doing what I say, and I'm not just sitting there throwing fucking heals out. Like it's a beautiful thing, man.
I had never raid tanked ever. Done a ton of dungeon tanking, right? But like never raid tanked all through our original back in the day, all till Wrath, and then took on the main tank role through Ulduar, and then sat down to be an off tank at the last 2 weeks of Ulduar, and it's been such a good growing experience to be a tank. It's been so cool. So yeah, I'm just glad I did work up. I have an 80 Disc Priest too, but boy, fucking healing stresses me out, man.
Dude, Disc Priest is so fun.
I love Disc in Wrath. Disc was like my shit in Wrath, dude.
It just stressed me out. Like,
Well, especially tanking as a warrior, like tanking as a paladin in Wrath and attacking as a druid in Wrath was so fucking easy. It's brain dead, right? But tanking as a warrior in vanilla, it's like, okay, you have an AoE taunt, but it's on a cooldown. Like, you know what I mean? You have like all these abilities, but you have to really know what you're doing, and like you can't do shit without rage. You know what I mean? And it's like it feels so good when you actually get it working well, and you're tanking everything, and everything's on you, and people are like, "Wow, you did a great job tanking." They're like, "Dude, really?" Because I felt like I was just like on the skin of my teeth.
Lots
Dude,
of
that's
tab.
the best feeling ever, by the way, when you finish a group and someone says you did a good job.
I know.
Or like W tank, right?
Yeah,
like that's such a good feeling.
Like, I'm gonna add you, man, because you're great. I was like
Yeah,
I had a bunch
right?
of people like, if so, like, I'm gonna add you because you did a great job. I'm like, dude, that's fucking. I'm like, this is like my first time tanking, in Classic. Like, I did a little bit of Druid tanking back in the day. But like nothing compared to how much I've been doing now. And you're tanking in hardcore too, which is like, it's a lot more going on, right? If you die, it's a big deal. So
people's lives are in your
Druid
hands,
tank
right? Like
was pretty easy in Classic for me in dungeons, in hardcore.
Yeah.
Like,
Druid
that
tank
seems
is like
pretty
just a
easy.
couple buttons.
Yeah. But like it's the
Um,
stance dancing that really is what makes Warrior really tough. Like,
Yes, absolutely. But if you got good macros, if you bake in, like, I have a taunt macro that it may immediately, like, I have it on all my stances. Is if I hit R, it puts me in defensive stance and taunts automatically, like stuff like that, right? You got to have good macros as a warrior. It's really what makes the difference.
I only have a couple of those, like, but I did have them for certain things. But then I often would switch manually too. But it's definitely better to just set up all the macros and have it change you automatically. But like it's, I don't know. It might be better to learn first before you do that, but maybe
it's
not.
like driving stick. It's like it's like you gotta. I mean, like I definitely had some help, right? Because Meldron helped me a lot with it, but I do feel like I've learned so much. And like what I love about this game is like when you play another class and you learn about this class, like it helps you not just with that class, but it helps you with other classes, right?
Yep.
Like on my priest now, like I know, like it's like, okay, how often is a warrior going to be able to get out of a fear, right? Like with certain abilities, and it's like, okay, now I know that I got to try to fear him as soon as he charges before he gets a berserker stance, just like little stuff like that. Like I knew that, but like as a warrior, you get to see now how quickly, like, okay, like if a good warrior is going to change stances like while they're charging, you know what I mean?
Yep.
If they're going against a priest and stuff like that. So it's like knowing like when you can fear and like what to look out for and like little things like that, it just helps you play the game on other classes and play the game better in a whole. And I leveled the warlock to 60. It was the first time I leveled a warlock to 60. My God, is it intimidating when you have so many buttons, right? As a warlock, but you only use like 5 of them. Or, you know what I mean? It's like, but it also like made me feel how strong warlocks are in Classic. Like being able to kill basically any elite that I came across, and it felt
and dueling.
So cool.
They were really mean too if you did it right.
Insane in dueling, insane. So it's really cool. Like I love this game. I'm still learning things about this game, even 16, 17, 18 years later, whatever it is.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's one of my buddy started playing WoW for the first time in 2019 when Classic came out, because like all of his group of friends was planning on going to play WoW, right? And he had, up until that point, he refused to play World of Warcraft like entirely, just out of like being defiant, right? Like he wanted to be like the counter culture kind of guy. So he started playing and he got really into it, and he was playing a rogue, right? And I told him he refused to play an alt. He only wanted to play rogues, and he had like 3 rogues.
Oh, God.
He refused to play any other class. And I told him, like, because he was starting to get really into parsing and like figuring out meta and like trying to understand like okay, world buffs and like rating and like what do I have to do to be the best rogue on the server, right? One of the things I told him was, you need to play every class in the game at least once. Like, and even if you don't do it to 60, like get every character to 20. because just you playing other classes is going to teach you so much about the game, right?
Yeah, and
playing as
even
a rogue,
if you
understand
boost,
why people are pissed when you rip threat off the tank, right? If you've played as the tank and the healer and that's dealing with it, right?
well, and
It's just so much better.
Like, even, because, like Def talked about how he, was able to make a level 60 during the PvP stuff. Like, you're not going to get what Wiki's talking about doing that. Like, you literally have to level it up and go through the trials and tribulations. And like, you can, like, I did do my Warlock back in Classic. Like, I would level 5 levels, then boost 3, then level 5 levels, then boost 3. You can do that. Like, it's just like you have to slowly add these moves into your arsenal and get to use them and to really understand them, or else you'll be like me when I boosted the Feral Druid. And even though I worked a hardcore Druid to level 60, I was overwhelmed as hell in Wrath with all the stuff. And I was just like, but if I had worked up from the start, then I wouldn't have had that to deal with. It is overcomable for sure, but it's just like I don't think it's the best practice, even though I did it.
Yeah,
I agree.
But
yeah, I mean, it's crazy how, like with the warrior, I think it's just great game design too. How, you slowly get, like, for a long time I was just, using sunder, and it's like heroic strike is like this useless ability that does, like, it's like if you have a bunch of rage, like, okay, maybe I'll use it, and then
but you just don't have a bunch of rage at that level, right?
Right. But like the thing was, I felt like there wasn't much to do, but like then you slowly start to see, okay, it's like, okay, now you get defensive stance, then you get berserker stance. And it's like, I think it's just great game design, how they give you a little bit at a time, and then slowly kind of walk you into it. And then, once you hit like level, around 40 on a warrior, you basically have a full arsenal of abilities. But you're still learning as you're getting higher level, how to tank better, and like I said, using these abilities like that, a lot of people don't use, like using Thunderclap, like using Demo Shout, especially on, harder hitting targets. Like, I've been able to kill kill elites so much easier by using Thunderclap and Demo Shout. It makes like the nuance of warrior and other classes so much better when you understand one more thing that, someone might have just skipped, who was like, okay, I'm just gonna make a level 60 like template warrior and just, go in there, charge, go in Zerker stance, whirlwind, mortal strike, and that's all they know. That's all they know what to do. You know what I mean? They're not the warrior who sits there, disarming and demo shouting and, trying to get rogues out of stealth and stuff like that.
You learn the why easier doing the long process, because like the how is easy to find in all types of videos and guides, but few people explain to the why to you. It was that was what was awesome about Table Slam helping me out. Instead of just showing me what to do, he was doing the rotation and then telling me the why after each button of the rotation. And then I've already, even with like just a little bit of practice, been able to utilize that information to do different boss fights that require different types of movement, different times where ads come in, like different things where I need to pivot. And if I just do the how, I'd be like, well, I'll just do the same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right, or if you click the wrong button, like what to do instead of just like waiting to get back into your button rotation, right?
Based Table Slam as always.
All right, well, we better move into time for the news. Because of time, I'm not even going to hit this first one because I don't care. It's like they do it every 3 months. Okay, guys, they did their 3-month right before quarterly ban of over 100,000 accounts, so the bots could re-up and they could double up that that money for the month. Yeah. So that happened. All right, hardcore. Let's get into that. So there's a whole bunch of stuff here, but you guys are definitely more hardcore experts than me. I'm I'm above a ton of other people in this world because most people don't even get one person to 60, but I got 2, but you guys are way above me. So why don't you guys start out on what you want to talk about here?
Oh man. Wasn't there a voicemail?
There
Or is that
was,
later?
but do you want me to play that now?
Well, I don't know. It's up to you, Bob. It's your show.
It kind of like, it's just an idea about hardcore, but we'll go ahead and start with it and then see if that sparks us into some other stuff. And we can go over.
Okay.
Like, I think we've went over most of the changes. Yeah. Most of the changes that are mentioned in here, and we'll have all this stuff in the notes, but most of it we have mentioned in other podcasts prior as the news came out. So like, you know,
so like as a reminder for everybody, Hardcore releases on August 24th, which is 12 days from the date that we are recording this right now. There are no plans for changes to like solo self-found mode. It's just going to be, if you die, you delete. Everything else is going to be just about the same, with the exception of the Mott Gra PvP system.
Bubble Hearth. I mean, we've covered, I don't think there's anything new in any of this stuff that we haven't covered in prior shows, but we can talk about different things. Though,
they've announced that you can buy the PvP trinket from a vendor.
Yes.
I actually saw that.
There will not be any name reservations for the servers, which is kind of a letdown, kind of a huge letdown. And the server is going to be, everything's released from day one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We haven't really talked about that. We did mention it, but I don't know that we really talked about it.
How do you feel about it? I guess that like Decamp and Bob and Mel, like, would you guys rather have progressive servers than an everything out day one, phase 6 kind of thing? Or what's your opinion?
I mean, like, I think, wouldn't we all rather have that? Like,
I don't think so.
I think it's going to be exciting because we're not going to have it. Like, I think that's going to be exciting, right? But
here's the thing, though. I think, like you've already said, I mean, the majority of people that are going to play hardcore are going to level. So the progressive servers, like, would we really want them to put time into progressive servers and opening raids that are very few and far between about the people who are going to be running those? And the people that are going to be running those, because it is a hardcore server, I don't see people running in, hitting level 60 and trying to go into Nax on their hardcore tunes.
You would just die.
That's kind of cool, right? I mean, like, if they do, like, best of luck, you're probably going to die.
I think it would have been cooler to release a server like this without hardcore, because then you could see what, you know, like, you know, you have the crew from Onslaught come back in, right? Decamp.
I just don't think.
I agree. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, you could see how fast they could do it without gear, right? Like, that would be kind of neat to see. But
one's going to
go in.
That we didn't get a fresh server as well. I was really hoping we were going to get. Well, yeah, but that's going to be something else. I was really hoping we would have just gotten like a fresh normal server with hardcore. Both. I think that would have been really cool to see. You know, because like there's people out there who want a PvP, who want to do other things, and I would have been playing both for sure.
A fresh era server, I gotcha.
Yeah, a fresh era server. But I'm really excited. I think them putting out all the content at one doesn't make that big of a difference. I think it's gonna be, you know, there's gonna be guilds out there who get done, you know, all the content pretty quickly. But the great thing about hardcore is it's not just about end game content. It's about leveling. It's about doing the grind, right? I mean, even if you get a character to max level and start raiding, there's nothing stopping you from doing it again. And, you know, and if you die, you start over, right? So like there's a lot of replayability when it comes to hardcore. And I think that's one of the best things about it. So it doesn't matter as much to me that they're doing that. It would have been probably, you know, would it have been better for them to release content in stages? Maybe. I don't think that it was like that necessary though, because like I said, I think the replayability of hardcore kind of offsets that.
Yeah, I agree with you that I don't think it really matters that much, but Wiki was asking if I would have preferred the other way, and I would have preferred the other way.
I think I also would have preferred it.
it just gives
I think it would have been like, hey,
gives
I'm trying to level a
creators-
character. I'm like 30 and they're, ooh, yay, AQ's coming out. Like that doesn't impact the majority of people, right?
Yeah, and I think that's probably Blizzard's reasoning for it is like looking at the statistics of hardcore right now, less than 1% of runs are making it to 60.
Right.
Wow.
So if you've got 100,000 people, which is a lot, right? There probably won't be 100,000 people, but if let's just say for like a round number sake, if you've got 100,000 people and less than 1,000 of them are even hitting 60 to begin with, why put any dev time? Like if you're spending the money on the dev time, why put any dev time or dev like work hours into something for less than 1% of the player base when you can use that to do other things, which we all know Blizzard's not going to do. They're not going to do other things like productive things that help with the server or the game. But they could, right? or they can dedicate those hours to releasing this thing Psalm 2 that we've all been hearing about that we don't know anything about, right? There might be significant changes coming to Psalm 2.
Psalm 2 that won't be Psalm 2.
Yeah, it's been hinted that it's going to be significantly different than what we've seen with Classic. So maybe they want to dedicate more hours to that. But either way, I think the official hardcore phases or not, it's our opportunity to sandbox Classic in a way that's never been done before, right? Like whether or not we're waiting on content to come out in the future, I think that kind of defeats the purpose of what hardcore is all about. Hardcore was started because people got bored and they wanted to sandbox World of Warcraft. They hated the meta. They wanted to play the game and enjoy it the way that they wanted to play it and enjoy it. And you don't technically need Blizzard's support for that, right? You don't need phases. You don't need anything. If you want to enjoy the leveling journey and challenge yourself and not die, then you can do that. If you want to play the leveling journey and challenge yourself even more so and not die, then you can add any additional challenges. You can still run the add-on that the community uses, go for achievement runs. You can create your own challenge. There's reasons achievements are named after players, right? The statics challenge is one that comes to mind, right? Tainted, what's tainted ones? That's the no-hit runs, right?
The no-hit runs, geez, yeah.
Yeah, and like you can do that in a phase 6 non-changing environment, but if you're adding phases into it, it might even deter from sandboxing the game mode in a way until we hit phase 6 again.
Yeah, the only argument I could even like see someone making is that the itemization is going to make it easier for people, which isn't that big of a deal, I don't think. Some of the itemization changes, right? There's going to be more gear available, like healing gear and DPS gear and and whatnot, and like ZF and the staff are going to be available from the get go, and just like little things like that. That's the only argument I could see someone making, but I don't think that's a big argument to make either. The one thing that I think I'm really interested in seeing is I wonder what you guys think is how they are going to be implementing these anti-griefing things that they're going to be doing.
Yeah, I mean I think that it's dude. I was talking to Graves about this last week. I'm actually excited. This sounds so toxic, but I'm actually excited to see the griefing culture on official. Because I don't think it's going to be viewed the same way the community views griefing right now. I think that the player base is going to be largely different than the player base is like with the community add-on and appeals and things like that. I think griefing is going to be incredibly interesting on official, right? Like I'm not saying you should grief. I'm not saying that I agree with people that do griefing, right? But I think that it's going to be a cat and mouse game, right? Blizzard is clearly against griefing. You have to click a button when you start make a character now that agrees that you're not going to grief other characters, right? But it's going to open this door for quote unquote unintentional griefing, right? It's going to say these griefers are no longer going to be mind control capping a Harvest Watcher in Westfall. They're going to be leveling a tune to 20, going into stockades and accidentally quote unquote pulling the entire dungeon, right? Because that's like the one way I think you can get around the Blizzard's required you don't get banned for it, right? You can just say, I'm new. I didn't know that was a thing.
Right. I'm just bad.
Or you're like the healers are going to be the most scary people.
Oh,
If you don't know your healer, don't bring them, right? Because those people have the complete and total power to just
Her life is in your hands.
Yeah, my mom called and I had to go AFK when we pulled Van Cleave.
There's
right?
so many bad griefers too. Me and Go were okay. Do you know that quest where you have to find the ghost in right? The first place you go after Darnassus, if you're right.
Sure, Anaya's Pendant or whatever it is for Love Eternal.
Yep. Yeah. So we're there killing those ghosts, and there's 2 griefers there, and these guys were just the biggest idiots ever. So first off, the rogue keeps like running over to us with like 2 or 3 mobs, and then vanishing, but doing it wrong. So they just keep like resetting and going back, and I'm just like, this guy's a moron. And then the even bigger moron is this hunter who's level 25, which means he was like above the level to where you could get to, the mobs were gray, right? And he's running out going, help, help, and then feign deathing. Like, oh no. I mean, it's just like, dude, you are so stupid. Like,
people, there's gonna be the griefing unofficial is gonna be so interesting. I don't know I don't know what they're gonna do. I've heard Calamity has said on her stream a few times that you can mind control Hogger and then use a druid to give it thorns.
Oh, I heard
like level 60 thorns.
Yeah.
Right. And then just like watch people click it and die.
Yeah. Oh no.
Like rogues will just like attack it and it's got 10 minutes of thorns and you're just getting ticks for 90 damage every time you auto attack it.
Oh god.
I wonder if they're gonna try to work on things like, so I was playing my warrior and this priest accidentally pulled like 4 people. And I was nowhere near it, but I used Blood Fury. I used Blood Rage. And Blood Rage, for some reason, put me on the aggro table.
Oh, yeah.
I died in dungeons after, like, when we were raiding, I found out the hard way to Blood Rage before going in. Because that does cause threat, and I've been popped. Like,
I was nowhere near him, though. I was like 40 yards away from him, and they still came to me.
But oh my god.
I do think there's a solid case to be had for keeping some griefing methods in the game.
Like what?
Like things that generate unnecessary threat, right? Like what you were just talking about with Blood Rage, right? And the only reason that I want to keep some griefing methods in the game is so that you can make a character that's dedicated to killing bots, right? If you find a bot in the open world, you can find it and you can grief it. And I think that would be like a fun hobby for a lot of people to run around, find bots, right? And and
then that bot reports you and you get banned.
Yeah, right. Well, so that's one of the problems, right? Like, what if the bots start reporting anyone who's involved with how they died? Like,
have you seen the bots in old school RuneScape now? They'll talk back. No. They're using AI to talk back to you.
Oh, they've got AI.
That's hilarious.
Oh shit, I forgot about it. Yeah.
And they'll get mad at you and be like, I'm not a fucking bot. Like, and it's like,
wow.
Yeah. Like,
that's terrifying, dude.
It's terrifying.
Right?
It's terrifying.
Dude, if you get banned, I'm going to say it, if you get banned for killing a bot, like if Blizzard bans you for killing a bot and you respond to it with a ticket that says this was a bot and I killed it.
Dude, we're going to get to the point to where you're going to be playing. You like made a new friend online. You guys have been playing for a couple weeks together. And then they're going to be like, I have something to tell you, Bobby.
I'm a bot.
I'm actually a bot.
I'm AI. You've fallen in love with an AI.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's gonna be. We're going into a scary world.
Feelings, though. I don't want this to ruin our friendship. Yeah,
dude, I'm
a bot.
It is crazy. Like, look at the podcast descriptions. I literally just take what you see here, my outline, and and
you put it in ChatGPT.
Top of it, I say write a summary for Warcraft Reloaded Podcast episode blah blah blah. Then I paste that whole thing in and I hit enter, and I only have to fix a few things. It's hilarious.
That's crazy, man. That's
I'm
crazy.
making a YouTube video right now. Actually, it's been like a couple months that I've been working on. I'm slowly chipping away at it, but it's a video where I'm having a bot make the entire video. So I'm using AI to give me the prompt for the video, and then I'm using AI to make the entire video. Right, like I'm doing no work at all other than editing what this AI churns out for me.
Did you see the
And I'm going to see how it goes, right? Like, what if it works?
That's cool. That's cool. Like Cybonize did something where he used the voice stuff, and he had Algalon giving rogue tips in Ulduar.
Nice.
It was hilarious. And it's like, you got to be like, stuff's about to get scary. Like, if you hear me quoted anywhere, or you hear
it might not be you.
Yeah, you hear Wiki Decamp quoted. I have a Donald Trump like soundbite right now that says, Hey, Bob, my good friend Yip, talked about your channel, and he says Blazing Bob and everything, and it's Trump. Like, it sounds like him. And then Yip made me one of Sarth telling me happy birthday, and it wasn't Sarth.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, if you go to anyone's streams right now, like go to XQC or Summit 1G, right? They've got $3 text to speech that uses their own AI voice. So like you can make them say whatever you want. And that's terrifying to me.
That is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys
you
heard
can't
Melron,
listen to anything now. Like, there's no accountability for any of this stuff now.
Yeah. Melderon started a new podcast with a buddy from work called Chaos People. It's out on YouTube now. If anybody wants to check it out.
All right.
What's it called? Make sure to send me the link later so I can put it in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. But yeah, it's called Chaos People, and he basically talks all about this kind of stuff, all about AI. He and the guy he works with is like a professional in like the AI field. Like, and what Melderon's doing is he's using AI and kind of merging it with like genetic stuff, and that's what they're doing. They're using AI to better, in the science field and making it more. So they have things now where ChatGPT will just write code for them, and like that's how far they've gone.
Oh yeah,
and they did
that's
a whole
been there
episode,
for a bit. Yeah,
but they did a whole episode about like how worried should we be about AI and like how far is going to go. But
very
like you
worried.
said, man,
be very worried.
There are bots out there in the games now where they are completely just like AI has completely done all the coding for it. I mean, it's going to get a lot more powerful within the next few years, and it's going to be interesting to see how that's implemented with World of Warcraft and how botting is going to kind of change and whatnot. And,
it'll be really cool for gaming, guys. I really think, because it can actually like bots will turn into your dungeon master, like. So like,
yeah, that would be cool, right? If you could do like a D&D game, with a bot,
and
like
your stuff's actually going to change. Like, think about playing Mass Effect, but where it can change its mind and where things can change. But we're getting off on a tangent here.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
Griefing. I think griefing has not been a problem recently, by the way.
I haven't. Well, I've been still playing on Bloodsail, and there's a lot less people playing right now because everyone's waiting for the official servers. But I'm going to be interested to see what happens. Come I'm most worried about what you were saying, Winky, is like someone going in a group that you don't know. I'm going to be trying to do most of my runs with people I'm going Horde, so I'm going to be on Skull Rock Guild.
If you're not in Discord, I'm not running a dungeon with you.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, I mean that's just smart, even without looking for griefers. It's just smart to have the communication. Like,
I mean, even then you got to be careful. Like that, that wacko tiny violin dude, whatever, all that crap.
Okay. So this is another weird take from me. I love that happened.
Like, love that it happened.
I absolutely love that it happened, and I have to say, I can say this now. I am no longer a mod in hardcore. I dropped the mod status because I was tired of taking all the blame for shit that I don't get paid for, right?
Yeah.
And like this is only an opinion, but you got to realize my background is I come from a long line of degenerate gamers that I really enjoy games like Rust, right? Games like Last Oasis.
I mean, I grew up playing
last night, like
Ultima Online.
full loot. Yeah, like
where I killed
loot,
people,
you know?
took all their stuff, like
Eve, right? Eve is another one. You kill someone, you take everything they have, right? Like the fun of the game is not only the high risk of playing the game and losing everything, it's the social atmosphere and the culture and like the threat that someone might join your clan, become friends with you for 2 years, and then one day you wake up and everything's gone, right?
Yeah,
there's a word for it. It's called inciting, right? It's like
but that guy
it's a thing
was
that's happened.
I think
he's out there, bro. Like,
dude, he's
killer out
crazy.
there. Like,
I think he should be on a watch list somewhere for sure.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But
the shit that he was saying, man, like, what the fuck?
But
like,
I do kind of see. I can see how it happened. I can see why it happened to an extent. I'm not saying that I think it should have happened. I'm just saying, from a viewer, like outside looking in, I can see the benefit of that happening, right? Because that also honestly was a huge publicity boost for hardcore in general, right? That like exploded.
Right.
There,
well,
like,
yeah,
people. There are
but
people
why,
on every
though?
side of the fence,
Why though?
right?
But the reason
People find
hardcore
it funny.
rating got less like popular to watch is, in my opinion, Petri Flask. Like, that shit's boring. Like, that took all the excitement out of it. And then to find out that there's stuff that goes through Petri, I did love that. And I did think it was entertaining to watch. Kind of like I felt disgusted inside, like watching a train wreck, but like, you're like, whoa, this is crazy, right? But like,
yeah, like
I really felt bad
Petri,
for our friend April Kit Kat. Like I just wanted to give her a hug. Like,
if you were in the raid, right? If you were in the raid, it sucks for you, right? But that's part of playing hardcore, right? That's part of you have to. That's part of raiding endgame hardcore, right? Like there's this perception with endgame hardcore WoW, where people think that they are just entitled to living through it. Like they think that no one's ever gonna grief them, right?
Yeah, right. People who hit 60 especially, it's like,
and it's like, you have to realize that is part of what you signed up for. And that's why I said, like when it happened, my take on it was, damn, that sucks. Yes, I view that as a grief. No, you should not be able to appeal it. Right. And it sucks. It
still makes me sick to my stomach thinking about him.
Sign up for.
Well, and then there was all the controversy behind it, where people were saying like, oh, they were cheating or something like that.
Right.
And then they were saying that people knew about it and whatnot.
You can't trust anything that comes from the source that it came from.
So
right? Like
much bullshit like going out. Yeah.
You can't just do something that is blatantly like immoral and wrong, right? Which would be killing 39 other players because you think it's funny and like wasting everyone else's time, right? And then try and justify why you did it, right?
I don't even think he
thought it was funny.
I don't think he did. I think he felt justified. Was like, yeah, shouldn't have messed with me. Yeah. I am a god. How dare you?
I don't know.
That's the type of guy he seemed like to me.
He does to me, Bob, too. Yeah.
That's the type of guy he seems like to me.
For the memes. I think that's.
I think he's legitimately like out there. That dude. Yeah.
It's crazy. Like I feel bad that it happened, right? But at the same time, that is what you sign up for, and that's what I'm saying when you're going into this hardcore server, right? You play hardcore because you're putting your character on the line.
Trust no one.
Right? When you go into a raid, you can't trust everyone because there are people like that exist and you learn that if you play other full loot PvP type games. If you play a game like Rust, right, for more than a couple hundred hours, you will realize you're gonna get backstabbed, right?
Well,
somebody is going to join you, become your friend, and then completely fuck you over. I will
say, like, okay, I played Ultima Online and like we were bad. Well, I started out good. I started out as a role-playing good guy. Like, how art thou today, sir? Like, and then I got beat up by the bad guys, and I was like, fuck this, I'm gonna be a bad guy. You know, and then I learned how to play the game better than other people because I researched a ton, and like there was a bunch of lemmings all through that game, like at the start, and then they split it off to where there was like a PvE only realm. It was Trammel or something like that. It wasn't good, but like people would screw you over a lot, but usually not people that you got to know over a year's time and stuff like that. Like it'd be people that they'd do it for a couple weeks, and then they would try to steal your castle or your tower or your house. Like, but then like people that screwed you over, like I still remember the guy that screwed us over on our castle, and like it's been like well over 20 freaking years. Like it's been like 22 years or something like that, and I still remember that
You have to
guy.
let that one go, Bob.
Yeah,
You gotta remember that okay, we're playing classic WoW, right? And you got to remember the community that you're playing with when you elect to do things with a group of people that you put hundreds of hours in, right? That you could throw away by hitting 0 health. You got to remember this is the same community of people, classic WoW, that had an in-game funeral for somebody and a group of people griefed it. Right? And not only did they grief it, they thought it was fun. They thought it was funny, and they didn't care at all, right? These are the people you have to expect when someone's applying for your guild. Shit's gonna happen, dude. It's gonna happen, and it's gonna suck, but it's gonna happen.
yeah.
And you also have to think like the repercussions of loot drama in hardcore can really backfire on you a lot more than maybe they did in regular classic WoW,
That's
right?
a very good point, Mel.
Where
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
oh, you want to give him the bindings? That's an interesting choice.
I'm gonna remember that next time we do this. Yeah.
There should be no loot drama in hardcore, in my opinion, but there will be. But if there is loot drama, just take it from me, kick him out of your guild that day.
Yeah.
The first person who says, I don't care if they're even justified in it, if they message a GM and they say, why did this person get onslaught girdle? Wasn't I next in line? Literally, don't even respond to them. Block them on Discord. Kick them from the guild, because they are going to kill you.
And,
and they are going to wipe your chair.
What's crazy is like, so I was guilty coming back of like loot drama stuff in guild. Like I really hated our main tank. So like he would just take DPS gear all the time, and it was just but either way, like I overreacted, right? I've since grown a lot since then. It's funny, you know, no matter what age you are, you can still keep growing if you find faults, right? But what's funny is that like I never tried to hurt the raid because of it. I would be mad, but what I did when I was mad is I performed even better. Like, I came fully consumed, but I saw what other people did. The majority of people that got mad like me would maybe no call, no show to a raid, or wouldn't come buffed, wouldn't even take, like the basic consumes, and like, and like sometimes just stand there and not even, or even worse, a tank just like standing there and just like letting the aggro go and just letting people die and lose their world buffs. And I saw the majority of people did that. So yeah, I say kick them out. Like, yeah,
I think if like you got to be like a people person, right? You got to like read the room. If you're going in for a molten core run or something, right? And you're playing hardcore, it's official hard. Maybe it's like a couple months into the server. If more than 3 of your active raid team call in for the same raid night, be very worried about what's about to happen. Like, you never know, right? Like the loot drama in classic, dude, people can make a coup, right? They can be like, tonight's the night. I'm wiping the main raid team, and then we're reforming the guild, and we're only going to bring the people that we like, right? To the new raid team, right?
I think a lot of guild masters know this, because I remember specifically in Classic, our guild leader Haraskar, who I just absolutely love. Shout out to him. Like, you've been the best raid/guild leader I've ever had, man. I love you. But like, and you've helped me grow. Getting teary, but no. So like, he's like the most even keel. like smart young guy I've ever met. Like I've literally learned a ton about being a better better person from him. He's just awesome. But I remember him telling me, like, because like there was this group of friends that wanted to join us, and I was like, well, there's 4 of them, maybe 5, and he's like, I'm not a big fan of bringing like groups of friends in because they oftentimes can like really hold you hostage in certain situations. And I was like, well, I never thought about that, but he's run stuff forever. So he's had it happen to him, you know? And so that's good that's good advice.
We had a raid leader that wouldn't bring husband and wife couples into raids because he was off. Like he hated to say, but he was like, usually one of them is shit, whether it's the husband or the wife. And we don't want to continue playing with them, but then they leave as a package, right? So like you give Thunder Fury to the the one of them that plays warrior. All of a sudden, you bring up the other person in the relationship's parses, and then they're both leaving the guild the next day, right? So it's like it's not worth the trouble to bring in.
Well, and lots of people,
right?
Lots of people, like if you want to make a guild like that where you're going to bring up parses, like, you've got to recruit the right people. But that's setting an expectation is like the biggest thing in becoming a successful guild leader, right? What's awesome about Jack is we've been doing this Harskar. We've been doing this this weekend raid. It's the one that I tanked in, and instead of calling anybody out on parses, he'll go and look at some stuff, and then he'll see something's like up. Then he'll go consult someone who really knows that class if he doesn't know it. And he knows a lot of classes, but if he doesn't know it, then he'll reach out to the person in question privately and try to help them improve with like the information he's gathered. And that usually doesn't piss off anybody. It's just when you call somebody out in the raid, it's not good.
There should be a whole episode of Warcraft Reloaded, Bob, where you talk about what it takes to be a successful raid lead and
I'd be horrible.
What a good leader would be. We'll bring on Harskar, right?
We've done that before.
There you go.
Yeah,
you did that with Melderon, didn't you?
Yeah, you, me, Melderon, Harskar, Yip. We're all in there talking about our journey through Sunwell.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was one of the most popular episodes on YouTube ever.
That's like a really good set of topics that you could do. But yeah, parsing shouldn't matter in hardcore unless you're using parses to look at like what someone,
if you can complete the raid,
how someone died, right?
Yeah, right.
Or if you make sure your raiders are playing their character the correct way, right? But aside from that, you should be worried about doing raids with 0 deaths and not 99 parsing. But usually in Classic, 99 parsing is the path to getting 0 deaths, right? The better performing your raid team is in terms of damage output, the shorter the fight is.
Yeah, it's dangerous though. I mean, warriors, we would try to take aggro at the start so that we just blew up in rage, and then we'd have aggro for the first few seconds of the fight and tell a healer to like keep us up. That gets you a 99 parse. Boom.
Look at hardcore elites parses though. Like they out parse people that are just playing era, like with their normal guilds as a hardcore guild, and they do that because they require their players to be at a certain standard for the safety of the raid team.
So I got to say,
I think is pretty good.
Playing when we did the Road to Rag, that was beautiful, man, because you had, and I'm hoping it's going to be like that again, because you had people involved in this raid that weren't even in the raid. Right.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Would go out and farm all day long just to get materials and pots and stuff just to help the people in the raid. And obviously now we're going to be able to use auction house and we're going to be able to trade with people and whatnot freely. But I'm kind of hoping that feeling still goes over and transfers, because it felt like even though you weren't in the raid, you were still part of the team. And you were still part of it. And I kind of hope that feeling transfers, because, I wasn't in the maid raid team, but I got to, when someone couldn't show, I got to fill in and did a couple boss fights and, just feeling, and people gave me gear for free. People gave me all these consumes for free, and I pitched in what I could. Right.
So and, I think
was so fucking cool, man.
I hate to say it, bro. This might break your heart a little bit.
You don't think it's going to happen?
I think you and I and somewhat Bob and Mel, right? Because they've been around. I think we lived through the golden age of hardcore, and the golden age is gone. I don't think it's ever coming back, man. I think
it's going to be different. It's going to be different. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think the community first mindset is just gone, man. And it sucks to say it because it's like that is the reason we played, right? We came to hardcore because we wanted an escape from the meta. We wanted an escape from
TBC
getting world buffs and logging out until Tuesday next week, right?
Right.
And I think that is never going to be the same hardcore ever again. It's
going to be different for sure. And I think we could try. I think something that we could do is try to keep it alive by, we have small communities, whatever they are. We have we still have communities. And I think even if we're not running our own guild, we can try to instill that same kind of feeling mentality within that, with what I'm saying.
Yeah, so absolutely. And that's kind of what I was doing with my little role play character, right? I was just like, I'm just gonna make this little community of people that want to role play and play within hardcore rules, right? And just have fun with it. And if you want to join it, you can join it. If you don't, that's totally fine, right?
And during the start of Season of Mastery, when hardcore blew up, because of Road Drag and everything, it was amazing because every group I got in was just nice, patient, helpful people. And you're talking in Discord, you're meeting each other at the start. It was the most interesting thing ever, instead of come on, tank, pull. Pull or I'm out,
You'll get that every now and then still on hardcore.
Well, I bet you get that now because it's big. It's gotten a lot bigger.
I think the people that are doing that now, though, are people that they're doing their first run. If it's their first time playing, they're still wanting to get in Discord and focus up and take their time. But then there's people that are veterans. I'm looking at people in chat right now, Aid Station, right? People that have been around, they're like, yo, we don't even need to be in Discord for stockades. We've been doing this. We've been doing this for years, right?
Yeah, we know all the
they know the
reset
nuance.
spots, and everything else. But
they know all the nuance already.
It's still better though. It's to be able to call. All right, we are running reset, instead of 4 people run and there's one doofus still standing there.
And it makes better gameplay, being in Discord with people. Even though I do it sometimes, I tell people, hey, I'm streaming, turn on the stream, at least they can hear what I'm saying, right?
But
it's so much more fun when you go into a group with people and get to talk to people. And I met some amazing guys a couple months ago doing the duo with Meldron, and I still talk to them today. We still do runs together today, and it's that's the part of the game that I missed so much from back in the day. Is
it really recreated it more than anything else?
With people and running with them and creating friendships, right? It's lame as it sounds. That's some of the most fun, part of the game.
Everybody talks about Wrath. They're nobody goes in and makes friends in dungeons. Give us looking for dungeon, and I get that. I'm one of the few weird people that will talk, and see if somebody's going to talk. But for the most part, people don't. They form the groups, they go in, they get it done. Somebody might say something oh, this mechanic does this or something like that. But this took you back to actually original vanilla, the hardcore days. And you really started to get to know them. And I think a lot of that was because most people required getting in the hardcore, because the hardcore Discord had tons of channels, so you just tell your group we're in this channel. Everybody has the Discord, and
I think everybody was afraid of dying.
Friends.
So
and you made friends
make
because
sure these people were on the same page as you, and you could communicate if something went wrong. I do think that to a certain extent, people have done that now and people feel more confident, especially with reset spots and things like that, where their life isn't necessarily tied to if you F something up, right?
True. Well, I think the community first aspect of hardcore is going to get diminished by an official server. I do think that you caring about the person in your stockades run, right? Because you no longer have just one of them. You have one of them per 24 hours, right? So it's that immediately makes your stockade run less memorable, because you can just run it the next day if your loot doesn't drop, right? And I think it's just going to come down to people kind of like not caring as much about other people's characters, about you know,
it's gonna be watered
hanging out
down.
and like it's gonna water down the experience a little. I should probably also say, just because I know how this works, Bob, before someone comments and says Winky's advocating for griefing and that he thinks griefing's great,
You heard it here first.
Okay, I don't think that what the person did on Four Horsemen was a good thing. Okay, I think it's bad. I think that there should be things done in a situation like that. But all I'm saying is that
it's going to be interesting to watch what happens.
It's going to be super interesting to watch on official. But all I'm saying is that specific instance happened, and I feel like that's something that moving forward, guilds should expect. You bring people that you trust, and even then, be on the lookout, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's gonna be, the whole thing is gonna be interesting, and just I'm interested to see what all goes on. I'd really like to be involved in that rag kill, so I'm gonna try hard.
Get there.
Because I started in SOM 2.5 weeks after the server launched. Like, I was just like, I'm not gonna make it there. And then I died a bunch, and I've got a lot of experience in hardcore over basically most of TBC. Like, I raid logged most of TBC just because I was just like, well, hardcore's more fun. Like, I just got into it crazy, but interested to see what happens. Let's play this voicemail real quick before you have to go, Winky. And Decamp, do you have time to stay for an extra half an hour to do this question down here? Because I think you'll be really good for that question. All right. Play the voicemail.
Hey, Bob, Mel, guests. My name's Denny. I play on Whitemane. Out of curiosity, I was wondering, I had this idea when I was listening to you guys talk about hardcore, and this might just sound super crazy, but I'm just kind of curious how you guys would feel about in hardcore, instead of, experience completely stopping at level 60, they kind of took a page from the Diablo world, and you started to gain like paragons. And these levels that you attain after hitting level 60, they do absolutely nothing for your character, except maybe, if you were to pull, say, 10, 15 extra levels of paragon after you hit level 60, instead of dying, maybe all the gear you get at level 60 just gets ripped off your body, sent to your bank, and if you gain 15 levels, you get bumped down to level 15 and you have to restart, but you don't completely die, you don't lose all your shit. I feel like it could maybe add like another layer to the game. Like, you could maybe in the Makara shit, if you win a Makara, maybe you get a level, or, I don't know, just a little thing. I'm curious. Maybe there's other things they could do too with this. Like, if you're level 60 and a raid wipes or something, maybe when they die, some of those levels get dispersed randomly to the community. I don't know, just a little weird random idea. Curious on you guys' thoughts on it. Good idea, bad idea, whatever. Just talking point. Love the show. Love you guys. Keep doing what you're doing.
So the first thing I thought when I heard this was extra paragon things to give you extra perks after level cap in any of the expansions could be kind of cool if seen right, but specifically for hardcore, like we've talked about it throughout the show so far, but like most people aren't going to raid. So like, do we just consider once you're at level 60, it's a different hardcore experience, and you have these types of perks where you could earn an extra life with like 5 Paragon levels. Like think like 1 Paragon level would be getting as much experience as you need to get from level 58 to 60, right? That's a ton, right? So like it would put you back in the world, doing stuff in the world, trying to like build that back up before you're comfortable raiding again. I don't know.
So,
and then when you die, you would still have a consequence because you would have to work that extra life back up again in the world. You know, I don't know. Could be cool.
I think Vinny's idea is dope as hell. Like I've been saying for a long time that in my dream, perfect server for WoW, right? It would be a hardcore server that level 60, your XP bar doesn't go away, and you keep gaining XP as if you were going to level to 61, right? But instead of leveling, it just keeps going indefinitely. And then you can check the forums or BattleNet, whatever, for a leaderboard of, you know, where you're at, similar to Diablo 2 ladder, right? Where you just, you get rewarded for running dungeons at 60 on a hardcore character. You get rewarded for every week going and doing your Molten Core because you're accruing this experience that doesn't actually get you to 61. It just boosts your level on the leaderboard, right? And when you die, you get removed from the leaderboard and you go again. I like the idea. I think that if you ever do anything that diminishes from death equals the deletion of your character, though, you do run into issues where people start saying it's not real hardcore. It's
right.
You know, things like that, right?
And that, using levels instead of dying or something like that, right?
Yeah, but I
that's
think
on
the
them
right
to
track,
say that
because
though.
This is
because okay, but like okay, so think about this. Basically, so really the challenge is getting to max level, right? And then like even in the hardcore community rules, once you got to level 60, you were allowed to trade with your guild. You were allowed to trade stuff. So it morphed. So I'm just saying this could be a different way of morphing, and it would still be exciting because maybe you could only build 1 extra life up at a time. Like
I think that
and then you'd have to like not be able to raid for a while.
I would like it better to be like cosmetics or something. Like if every time
or
you
titles,
get,
right?
I like that too. I like that too.
Survive a raid, right? You get these Paragon points. You get Survivor of Molten Core or something like that, or you get like a Molten Core transmog set or whatever, you know, something, or a Molten Core like headpiece, like that's specific to the raid that you can wear.
What if you got like an XP boost for like your first 10 levels or your first 5 levels?
Or something like that?
Yeah, like once you hit 60, like you get this kind of like XP boost for your next ult for like the first 10 levels or the first 20 levels, whatever. But it like kind of entices you to go back and do it again, right? Because lots of people, you know, they get to 60. And I think what it all comes down to is how do we, without the people that just love hardcore game mode, how do you increase the longevity of the game mode for others, right? Yeah. And people that are trying it, they hit 60, they're probably not going to raid, most people. And most people probably aren't even going to get to 60. But if you get this extra perk once you get to 60 that helps another character that you could level, I feel like that's more enticing because once you go through the grind, lots of people are like, okay, I did it.
Yeah.
Cool.
One thing that I thought about, but this is why I love the idea that Vinny called in with, right? I love the idea that people are starting to think outside the box on how to sandbox WoW, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like I love the idea that Blizzard is giving us hardcore servers because it shows if you have an idea that of a way you want to play WoW Classic specifically, and you do it and you like try and make it thrive and get a community of people behind it, there is now a use case that Blizzard is watching and they might actually take that into consideration, right?
The only thing is though, Classic WoW, the classic flaw is the specs, man. Like the specs just don't.
I think that's the beauty. I think it's the beauty. Honestly, I think I complete opposite.
Shout outs to Kevin Gordon.
I think there's things that needed to be changed because they're like, for instance, like you think about PvP, like warlocks are awesome in dueling PvP, but then literally we're just like dead weight besides a curse in
But
raid. You know what I mean?
You have to look at the game, Bob, instead of just looking at PvP
At
and
raid?
just looking at a PVE and
Yeah,
just looking
you're
at
right.
you gotta
You're
look
right.
at
You're
it
right.
all
Yeah, you're right.
one
The
together.
open world was
it's about
better.
leveling, it's about PvE, and about PvP. When you
Yep.
take in consideration all those three aspects of the game, the classes are balanced.
You're right. They are pretty
Except for
dang
Boomkin.
balanced.
Except for Boom. But druids are amazing in PvP. They're amazing 1v1, and they're amazing at leveling.
Yeah.
Feral druids are nuts in
They can't have
PvP.
everything.
Yeah.
You know what? To the caller's point, though, you know what I want from Classic Plus? I want a system that he's basically exactly what he's talking about, where when you hit 60 on Classic Plus, right? Whether this is like Psalm 8, Psalm 10, whatever. I want like Call of Duty Prestige, dude. I want you to hit 60 and be able to make the choice when you ding. If you want to continue at 60 or go back to level 1, but have like plus 50 on all your base stats, right? And just you can keep rinsing and repeating that. And then eventually, if you do it for like the entire season,
Even a boom kid could be good.
Yeah. You go in for like one Nax clear and your warrior like 2 shots Ragnaros, right? Like you just like solo, you know,
Hold
solo
my beer.
Core, right? Like it would be just really cool to just see like, would people do that? And like you see like this Giga Chat like dwarf warrior walking around Ironforge. It's like dwarf warrior Giga badass, and then it's got like 8 stars next to his name, and you're like, damn, that dude's prestiged 8 times. His base agility is 450.
Or like
What is
Aid
going
say,
on here?
like Aid's station is saying in the chat, maybe it gets harder. Now, what if it's like the original Legend of Zelda, where boom, you beat it the first time, then you replay it the next time, and all of the hidden places to go are all different. Like everything's different in different spots. Now you can have nodes all in different spots. You could have different quests. You could have like, it'd be like the next tier of the game, and only people that had played through the first tier would be in there, and you do make it harder.
Yeah,
I think making characters stronger would be a really big issue if you did that. But
it would be so cool though, right?
But
Like
I think
cool, but
I think Aid's station is onto it though, making it harder, because now you're doing hardcore world 2. Hardcore world 3.
Like either certain, like maybe like a different mount you can get. Like if you prestige or whatever, then you can get your mount maybe for free or something like that. Like something like incentive like that. But I think giving people stronger characters, like that's where it gets dangerous. You're gonna have even more balancing problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. But I want the balance problems, dude. I want like a rogue to like backstab me in open world PvP, right? Because I'm not talking like for hardcore. This is like Classic Plus stuff, where it's like they just look at you and you die. Like
I mean,
that rogue, because that rogue has put in 550 hours.
But I mean, honestly,
leveling their character over and over again.
That
right?
was I didn't play rogue in Classic vanilla, but I did all through vanilla, and that was like literally, if a clothy was sitting down, I would just go ambush, backstab, and they'd be dead. And sometimes they died on the ambush because I was just fully bissed out BWL gear and like doing BGs, and I just wait for someone to sit, ambush,
People
backstab,
wonder why
dead.
people hate rogues.
Yeah,
you know?
I should just go.
Rogues.
I should bring this idea to the Ascension WoW devs. See if they could throw it in there and see what happens. They could play test it for us. But I gotta go, guys.
Yep, we gotta let you go. So, Wiki, where can we find you?
Right here on the Warcraft Reloaded podcast at twitch.tv/blazenbob.
Come on.
No, if you want to watch my stream, it's twitch.tv/winky. You can go on YouTube, Winky HC on YouTube. And I'm on a bit of a break, but I'll be doing role play characters that are pretty fun. And then once hardcore official launches, if you guys want to tune in, I'll be racing against Stay Safe, Euler, Trill, for World First Warlock, and then we'll be World First Molten Core attempting as a guild. And
Did you see Stay Safe on the whatever podcast?
I did.
He
The one where the
killed
girl
it,
flashed
dude.
the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched both the before and after. He killed it. I mean, I was like, I was blown away. Like he just
Dude, he was
so
he
good.
He had such a way with words that like people, both sides of the table agreed with "stay safe" whenever he talked. It was actually crazy.
I've never seen him.
Wait,
you know,
smile, I have to take a picture, Winky.
like he made jokes, right? But like, I'd never seen him serious for that long, and it was really cool. But before you go, the last thing I forgot to mention at the start of the show, there's a new guide on Rested XP, and it's the hardcore guide, and it's crazy how in depth it tells you to do different things, and it's specifically made for like new players and stuff. Our code is reloaded. Use it to save 5% at checkout and to support us. But Winky, what is your code if they want to support you?
You can just use code Winky, but addendum. I'm a strong advocate of not using Rested XP for hardcore because I think it goes entirely against the idea of why hardcore was created to begin with.
Don't listen to Winky.
Fair. Well,
so if you're gonna use it for hardcore, use Warcraft Reloaded's code. Don't use mine because.
Or use the other guide that's not the hardcore specific one, the speedrun guide. That one's hard. Like you got to be a good player to use that. What is your code, Decamp?
Just Decamp.
Okay, so if you want to support Def, use Decamp. I just wanted to throw that in before you left because I forgot to mention it at the start of the show.
Me with like a creator code, I have a G Fuel code. If you're looking to stay awake for an ungodly amount of hours on launch, just use G Fuel code Winky and buy some sugar-free energy because that shit is based. They just sent me a Resident Evil 4 like collector's tub thing. Super good. And their World of Warcraft flavor is really, really good. It's dragon fruit.
Nice. Okay.
But yeah. Okay, guys, I gotta go. I love you.
Take it easy, brother.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.
All right. So all right. Guys, we got one last thing. We're gonna move into it, and Decamp is the perfect person for this because he is a vanilla purist. So let's move into
Bobby, we need to have a talk about this World of Warcraft Classic. Do I look like I know what a WoW token is?
All right. This was a very lengthy post in the Discord questions section. If you guys want to leave your own, it's discord.me/Warcraft Reloaded or warcraftreloaded.com. You'll find the link there. I'm not going to read the start, but I'm going to have Mel read the actual question. And the question, Mel, is in red. But, I mean, I could kind of paraphrase, like, no, we just don't have time to read it all. But I did read it all, and I enjoyed hearing about your past. But let's just get to the question itself. Mel?
Okay. He says, with Classic leaving the original trilogy and straying further and farther from the original Classic feel, I believe it is important that Classic Plus needs to be a thing, and that we, meaning the vast community, need to establish as much as possible a clear list of features that we, as a majority, feel are required to be included in Classic Plus in order to maintain and improve upon the Classic vibe we love so much and give developers direction. To the members of the podcast today, what are your must-have features, and what impact do they have to enhance the game? My personal most important feature would be to add as many reasons as possible to be out in the open world to enhance cool organic interactions with other players and promote community building. Azeroth is the main character, and we should be out there interacting with it.
That's a great question. I'm going to start off by saying, number one, the most important thing that needs to be added to Classic Plus is itemization. Better itemization. Better itemization adds more to classes than you even need to worry about class balancing. The reason why so many classes have issues like druids with tanking or healing in earlier is itemization, the lack of itemization that they have. If you gave druids better itemization, they wouldn't have to go out and farm pummelers. They wouldn't have to go out and farm, and I think adding cool things like new tier sets to fix things that are broken on certain classes, like possibly adding a tier set that fixes the problem of paladins not having a taunt, right?
Yeah.
So I think itemization is hugely important when it comes to Classic Plus.
What do you think about glyphs? Because they've solved a lot of Wrath's problems with glyphs. It's been interesting.
Something like glyphs, like kind of like how they did in season 1 of Diablo 4, like they added these malignant hearts. Potentially you can have something like that where you can
love
put on
the
your
druid
gear.
suck in one. Because Mel sucks them in, and I just blend them up.
Yeah. So something like that, where you can add something to your character that fixes an issue that inherently that they have, right? I think going in there and just saying like, oh, let's revamp the talent system, that's very dangerous because you're going to have a lot of issues with that. I think what you have to look at a specific problem that a class has and try to fix it like that through itemization and not through changing their talents.
See, I like glyphs because then you can still get other items, right? Like I like power stuff.
Like glyphs, right?
Yeah,
something like glyphs. It doesn't have to be glyphs necessarily. It could be something like glyphs, like I said, like a malignant heart. I think that's probably one of the most important things is to add more itemization to the game. It's going to fix paladins. It's going to fix druids. Dual spec. I still think itemization is probably the more important than that.
I was just saying, like, what sucks about
be great. Yeah.
What sucked about Classic for me as a warrior is I'd be in Fury spec, which means I can't PvP. Like I can, but I'm like a rogue without any utility, right? So it'd be awesome. I loved it, I love being able to like be in a PvP spec, going to the dungeon, like traveling there and like fighting on the way. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that would require balancing of the factions too.
Yes, which like I said, I don't think should be done. I don't think you should have. I think having horde only shamans is fucking awesome, and having alliance only paladins is amazing. Yes, I think that is such an amazing thing.
Idea of being able to betray your faction and go to the other side, because it's kind of weird that you're just stuck with them. You know what I mean? It's kind of like
not in the lore sense.
Not in the lore sense. I know.
No, I think one of the coolest things about Classic WoW is the fact that you feel so different as the Horde and you feel so different as the Alliance. You have
it's very different.
You have a clear-cut feeling of when you're a Horde and a clear-cut feeling of when you're your Alliance, right? And I think that if you do give Paladins a way where they can tank better, then maybe you could do something with the itemization that can make Shamans tank better.
Yeah.
Right?
I remember people trying to make that work back in the day in dungeons. It was the funniest thing ever.
Well, shaman tanking has been done before. It has been,
So is Rogue. Rogue dodge taking too has been done, but it was just a pain in the ass.
You could do some minor tweaking to the shaman, to the shamans, and make them able to tank. Like I said, just adding some itemization, maybe a certain gear set or a certain glyph or certain like malignant heart kind of feature, whatever like that.
Something that boosts armor, just like basically the way a druid does bear, and stuff like that.
And that's exactly what I was thinking. So I think like a druid bear form, something like that. But like I think, like I said, with itemization, the reason why druids make such why, like for instance, like druids need to farm pummelers, right, is because they don't put out enough threat, especially on horde, to match Wind Fury, right? So that's the issue. So they have to farm pummelers to be able to match threat. If you give them better itemization and allow them to have more things that they can use, like for instance, like the best in slot druid tanking weapon is like a level 47 epic weapon, right? Like that's ridiculous at pre-raid BIS, right? For pre-raid BIS, there should be something at level 60 that a druid can use other than that staff or pummeler, right?
It is boring, and like having to farm all of those, like the very least make it like 50 charges or something, like or something like. Right. But still, it's just boring for them, and it sucks. Like
And the other thing is too, it wouldn't be nice to go in there as a priest or another class and have more options than just the certain pre-raid bis that you have, right? And we're talking a lot about like pre-raid bis because that's where a lot of the issues are, but there's still issues even in molten core gear and BWL gear, right? Like certain classes don't really start
Like
feeling fleshed out.
Druid tier 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievably
Druid tier
stupid.
1,
Yeah.
And like warlocks, like they miss out on a lot of hit gear early on, right? So like adding more itemization, more hit gear, adding more options for casters, for warriors have it easy, right? Because like you can see where there's a lot of itemization for warriors because they're able to use plate, leather, mail, right? And that's why warriors do so well, is because they have such many options with itemization. There's your answer right there. It opens up so much more for classes if you just increase itemization. Number 2, more quests, more streamlined quests. That means more open world. That means more quests that are, tied to the zone. I want to feel like I'm going into a zone and I'm getting a storyline for each zone, right? I want to go into Elwyn Forest and learn more about the like Elwyn Forest was a great fleshed out questing zone where you get a lot of feeling of like what's going on. You have the defies there, you have all these things. I want to feel that for every zone. I want to have a feeling of like what the zone feels like. And I also want to have more low level / outdoor dungeons and possibly low level raids. I think there should be more dungeons at low level. There should be like a Scarlet Monastery raid, a 10-man raid where you go in and this is where you start practicing raiding as a low level. Right, so you do your Scarlet Monastery Graveyard, you do your SM
like
Live,
40
SM,
man?
and I think
15.
10 man.
Well,
I think 10
Scarlet
man
Monastery, like you can do a 15-man raid. Like if you make a 15-man raid, it should just be level 60. Like that's a big thing with making all the dungeons level 60. Like, or at least an option would be really neat.
It would be. It'd be really cool if you could do a level 60 version of SM, right? But either way, I think adding more dungeons and more, you need more to do while leveling, right? Leveling is such an amazing part of Classic WoW. And I think having more to do and more to do with people. You want to feel like there's more to do out in the world, right? So like I said, more outdoor dungeons, like for instance, the the hinterlands, right? I can't think of the name of it right now. Jintha Allure, right? It's more stuff like that where you're outdoor, you just meet up with people and you start doing groups together with them. So I think having so much more to do while leveling is a huge thing. You want more quests, you want better itemization while leveling as well. That's another thing, right? We talked about itemization, but itemization while leveling is important too. No more gear. I mean, like a piece of gear, like, oh, that's cloth that has agility and strength on it. Yeah, you don't have to get rid of it, but add more options as well while leveling, right?
Right.
But I think low level raids would be an awesome start to get people familiar with raiding, what it feels like to be in a raid group, and also add more to the story, right? I think imagine a SFK dungeon, and then you had a SFK raid, like a style of like a SFK style raid, right?
Probably have to be like most of those be like 10-man, but like
I think 10 man's fine. 10 man's fine. Yeah.
But Blackrock Depths could definitely be like a 15, 20-man.
Absolutely. All you have to do is go in there and add another portion of it, right? I think
so
a lot of this
goal
can be
to
done.
make the leveling experience more fun and entertaining and out in the world, as opposed to fixing anything in the end game necessarily.
Both. I think it should feel better out in the world, and you should also be more incentivized to group with people. So I think like I said, like having more outdoor dungeons, having more group quests. I think you should make it to the point where it's easier to group with people. Now you could do something like share tags, right? Like where you're automatically grouped with someone even if you're not grouped with them. But I don't like that idea. I think being able to group more freely, if you're in the world, to have that feeling like you're meeting people more cohesively. Because if you do share tags, essentially you have no reason to group, right?
I do kind of like shared tags because
you're nice.
Like you're kind of grouped in the sense that like dude's here and you're helping each other, right? Like
right, but you have no incentivation to talk to this person.
Yeah.
True.
So I think share tags is nice, and when it comes to a
how about this? An open mic?
Yeah, no one's going to use it.
No,
No
I
one
mean,
use it.
I would use it all the time. I'm talking like, and I wanted this in MMOs when they first came out. It's just there was no way to do it. But you're like, you could turn it off, yeah, because that would make a lot of people weird. But like, literally, you're talking, and like as you get further away, it gets quieter and quieter. And like, I would literally just troll the shit out of people. I'd be like, dude, you're not doing that right. But that would be more like real life, right? And, like, I don't like to type, like, and that's, I think a lot of people don't. I think that's why a lot of people don't communicate much. Like, I don't even read chat in my guild.
It would be a lot of, like it is now on like other games like that. It would be a lot of shit talking.
Trolling, yeah.
And that's fine.
A lot of trolling. I mean, it could be fun. It could, right? I don't know. I haven't really thought about that.
And you can mute somebody if they're a dick, but imagine that for roleplay. Wiki would have
like, oh my god, a streamer, like everyone's gonna come on you and just you have to have a way to turn it off then, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. You'd be able to mute people. You'd be able to turn it off completely if you didn't want. But I think it could be pretty fun. There was something that had something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
dude, Sea of Thieves. I do it all the time now.
Oh yeah, Sea of Thieves.
Like, ahoy!
But that's a much different game, right? In a way, right? I think when you have so many more people running around, like imagine having that on in Stormwind.
Oh my god.
You're gonna be like, it's gonna be crazy, right?
But it would sound like it. But remember, it gets quieter the further away you are, so you could eavesdrop.
Right, but you still have like 50
on people
in like a 10-yard radius. You know
and it
what
would sound like you're at a mall, right?
Like, we go nuts, dude.
It would sound like you're in an actual city. It could be really cool for like role play rims, but I didn't mean to derail you. You just made me think about that.
No. Yeah, so we said itemization, more quests, more low-level content, more high-end content as well, right? More raids. We definitely need more raids. We definitely need and more raids opens more itemization as well. And we're not talking about more like we're not going from like tier 1, tier 1.2, tier 1.3, tier 1.5. I'm talking about like side progression. So you have your MC gear, but then you also have like say like Tol Barad gear. That's the same level, but gives a different raid tier, gives a totally different tier set bonuses to do different things, right?
What about more skills faster?
Maybe more skills, maybe more options to do things. Like
you talked about warrior, how it sucked, until 40. Imagine if you had your entire toolkit by the time you hit level 30. Imagine how much more fun and much more endgame practice you would get, like moving up to level 60. Now, of course, you'd have the different ranks coming in, but you have all skills by the time you're level 30, your full toolkit to then learn for the next 30 levels.
That would be interesting. I'm trying to see if any downsides to that.
I'm sure there is. I just can't think of any. I can't
think of any right now off the top of my head. But I think those 3-4 things are very, very, very important. I think I would say the most important things to the game. I don't think you can fix a lot of the so-called balancing issues with itemization inherently, but like
or hearts, glyphs, something that you could add to your gear. Or something.
Like I said, the charm of Classic WoW for a lot of people is the fact that things aren't balanced. When you started to balance the game became a lot more homogenized. Starting in Wrath of Lich King,
I don't mean
when you start to get that right. And now
I didn't mean
there's
complete balance. Like
now, when you have
self-heals and all that shit,
like Kevin Jordan, right? Kevin Jordan was an artist. He was a artist and who understood that you needed classes to feel inherently different enough to make them feel unique and special. Now, then when you had Ian Haskastas, someone who was a very PvE minded person, he wanted everything to feel balanced in terms of PvE. And that's when you started to feel much more homogenized, right? When someone like Ian Haskastas took the reins and started balancing the game.
Was it that like late Cataclysm or something? Or like
it was started in Wrath.
I don't think so, because he was still writing Take Spot articles.
Ian Haskastas was hired in TBC.
Really? Are you sure?
Yeah. He was hired after I'm pretty sure he was hired during TBC.
Really?
Yeah, but
I didn't know that.
Yep.
I thought it was after Wrath sometime.
No. He was hired pretty early.
Huh,
He was
okay.
part of that guild with Joker. What's the name?
Elitist Jerks.
Elitist Jerks. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I used those forums to be better than everybody else back in the day because nobody else read.
Yeah, he was either hired in TBC or Wrath. It was very early though.
Okay.
So either way, right? Like when you started to have someone PvE minded like that, you started to see the game become a lot more homogenized. And yes, Wrath had a lot of good fleshed out talents, a lot of good. That Wrath was a good balance between the classic era and like the what they could have done, right, with balancing and whatnot. But you lost something a little bit in Wrath, right? I think you still lost a little bit of something with the uniqueness of the classes. They still felt really good, unique. They still felt unique in their own ways, right? But like it was
nice.
It was a little bit of a give and take.
It's nice that there's like three class specs, like sometimes only two, but like usually there's like around 3 class specs that can give the same buff, but they're not all the same. Like, you'd be like, okay, we do have a shaman, so we can do this instead of this. Okay, we do have a rogue, so he could do this instead of that. Like, but you're still able to get all the buffs. And it also makes running 10-mans is really like a puzzle because like you're trying to get as many buffs as you can, but you can do that with different people. Whereas before it's like, we have to have this, we have to have that.
I still think TBC was the perfect medium between the two.
Oh God, I hated Shaman in TBC. I hated it.
Really? I love Shaman in TBC.
You had 5 of them in a 25-man raid. That's 20% of the raid is one character. Like, there were Resto and everything else.
That was an issue for sure because of Bloodlust.
Yeah, but like, I don't know.
But yeah, I think there's a happy medium between the two for sure. But I think one of the main things that I enjoy about Classic WoW is the uniqueness of the classes. And I think there's a way to keep that with them still feeling better in a lot of ways, right? I think there's a way to work around, like I said, all these things with itemization instead of changing the classes. Because when you start changing the classes, it's not going to feel like Classic anymore.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. And I just like you pointed out, and I really hadn't thought about how brilliant it was for a Grandin crew to use glyphs here in Wrath to fix little problems rather than changing up the entire thing. Yeah, exactly. It's like, why change the entire spec when you can change 1 or 2 things and make it feel better, right? Yeah, because they could just have a glyph that turns one of Pally's moves to a taunt, right? Like
exactly, right.
and then it takes away
customization. I think
it does. Yeah,
we're looking for, right? Like they change the specs, and people are going to be annoyed because they can't go the spec that they used to go in Classic, and they don't have the ability to pick this or do this, right? And I think adding in something that just modifies it, that's additional, I think you're on the right track there. I think that would feel much better.
And like gear could do that too. I mean, that's cool. That's cool. Like,
so Mega Man just said something, and I agree with him. I think in Wrath of the Lich King, the talents are better designed, geared towards PvE. I think in Classic WoW, the talents are better designed, more towards like a tabletop game.
Yep. And also, I mean, I love PvP. What have I not done all through Wrath? PvP'd, because Wrath is when it starts becoming a counting cooldowns game. And that's just, I mean, yes, the people that are really good at it, it's impressive to watch them, but it's not fun for me. Like,
I loved TBC and I really love vanilla PvP as well. I think
I loved TBC PvP too.
If the vanilla PvP system was better, I love the fact that your raid gear is your PvP gear as well. I do. I actually love that. And
I loved PvP in vanilla too. I just didn't love it because I didn't have dual spec and I wasn't as savvy as I am now and wasn't able to make as much gold. Like, I
mean, dual spec is a given, right? I mean, like, there's no reason not to have dual. Like, the only downside of not having dual spec is the fact that, right? Like, people argue that it makes you think about what your class is more and what your spec is more. But like I think inherently, like I used to respec every week from Shadow to Holy, and it would just make it so much better to just have 2 specs, right? I mean, it's just it's a quality of life thing.
Yeah,
there's
especially
no
with
reason
how much
to not have it.
like extra money you have now compared to you had in Classic, right? Like respecing every week was like a burden.
It was expensive. It was really I had to farm every week just to respec, you know?
Right.
And you know, I want to be able to go, you know, and play a Shadow and not have to feel like I have to go and farm like 6 hours just to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Dude, and I would do things. We raided on Tuesday, Thursday. I would do things where I would respec end of the night, Thursday night to PvP spec. Then I would BG through the weekend and then respec Tuesday evening before next raid, right? But then when I do that, all of a sudden stuff would come up on the weekend, and then I'd get this anxiety. I'm not getting my full money's worth of PvP. Like, oh my God. And I would make Mel's life like rough because I'm like, Mel, come on, we have to PvP. I respect this week. Please, come on.
Yeah.
Like, and it just turned into this unfun thing where like I almost didn't get on as much because of that anxiety to play. Whereas if I could have just been able to swap it, or even just had it been cheaper, like I mean, anything would have helped. Like,
but dual spec is a given; it's easy, right? And another thing, I think, rated battlegrounds in Classic. Give me rated battlegrounds and give me a dueling tournament or a dueling type.
Why don't they have dueling tournaments? Yeah, why don't we have arena duels? Like, we still don't have that. Why?
Dueling is so amazing in like 1v1 fighting is so much fun in Classic, and make it fully fleshed out where you can use all the engineering items, whatever, right? Because that's the part of the fun, right? Where you can use all these different engineering items. I mean, you have to have some rules, right?
But like, why don't they never have that? They never got that.
I don't know. And rated battlegrounds, right? So that you can get certain specific, you know, maybe either certain gear, like the high warlord gear, whatever, through doing rated battlegrounds, right? You give them some kind of point system and make it so that when you are doing a pre-made, you're only fighting other pre-mades and you're not fighting people that are these poor innocent people who just queued up and it's a pre-made, right? So make it pre-made versus pre-made, rated battlegrounds, and anything over a 5-man group is considered a pre-made.
That does take you into taking people out of the world, which just kind of suck. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, it's just in PvP, general, though, right? That's just PvP. That's just part of the PvP meta.
Yeah,
and you know, add incentivization to world PvP. There you go, right there. Give some kind of incentivization to world PvP.
But if they do that, they have to balance the servers.
Well, that's going to be another issue, Bob. That's a huge issue.
Dude, you didn't.
The servers,
yeah, you were on Scarum. You have no idea what Phase 2 was for lots of us.
Scarum was ruined. Phase 2 ruined Scarum as well.
Yeah, but it ruined it on the. Yeah, I know, but you didn't feel what the Alliance felt like we did on White Mage. Like, it was absolutely nuts, Decamp, because Horde had 45-minute queues for BGs. So basically, like, us to get in, and I've told this like a broken record for so many times, but to get to Dire Mall East to do jump runs, Mel and I, it would take us 45 minutes of dying probably 15 times. As groups that were strategically placed along the path to Dire Mall killed us, you know, 3 or 4 times, and then passed us on to the next group because they were no longer getting honor from us. Like, I mean, like, if they balanced servers, it would be fine.
And Bob, there's easier ways they can balance servers than we've like. The problem was they didn't listen to what we were trying to tell them early game, that there wasn't going to be enough servers. They needed to make more servers. They made too little. And what happened was you had this massive amount of people on these small servers. Then they made more servers. Then people mass exited. That was the issue. If they would have just made more servers in the beginning, it wouldn't have been as big as a problem as it was. It probably would have still been an issue, but it wouldn't have been as big an issue. So if they can fix the servers, have an incentivization where every like you know how Hellfires are in Diablo 4, just an idea, right? You make like a Hellfire zone that's a world PvP zone. So Tower Mill versus South Shore, every 2 hours, it's either Tower Mill versus South Shore or it's Ashenvale, and you go there, and if you take part in the fight, you get these PvP points, whatever, that you can use towards buying some of the PvP gear. And then boom, there, right there, you're incentivizing world PvP. But make it only every certain amount of hours, so that when you're not doing that, there's no reason to go out there and kill Alliance or kill Horde. You want it to make it incentivized during. I mean, you can still go out there and kill them, yeah, but you're not getting anything, right? By doing it. If you go there during this PvP time, then you're going there and you're getting these PvP points, and say it lasts a half hour or whatever, right? And it happens every 2-3 hours. There, you're adding more reason for people to play in the world. You're adding more reason for people, and like it'll be like, holy shit, dude, should I level right now in Tower and Mill? The PvP event is about to start. Maybe I should go to Ashenvale instead, right? So it adds a little bit of like flavor to it too, because you might get caught up in this war that you don't want to take part in.
Yeah.
I like it.
I don't know.
That's just the biggest one, like I said, itemization. Number 2, more quests, more raids, more low level content, more maybe low level raids, more dungeons, more side progression, right? I think like potentially with that guy was talking about, having those prestige things, that could be pretty cool. Or after you hit level cap, you can level up a certain thing and you get a title, or you get whatever, right? But like some kind of horizontal progression that doesn't really interfere with the gameplay so much, but gives you either cosmetics or gives you titles, gives you achievement, some kind of thing like that.
What about something like non-instanced dungeons and
outdoor dungeons? Yeah.
No, like indoor dungeons. Like you just walk into Blackrock Depths. Like there's no portal there. I mean, that's how the dungeons were in Ultima online. Right. And sometimes you'd get there and somebody's farming certain mobs, but like with the way bosses work, like people would be farming bosses. There would be mafias that were made to control, which in some senses would be kind of cool, but in other senses for casual people, it would not be as cool, but then there's things you could take out. You could have less flight paths. You could have a timer on using a flight path. You could have
more flight paths. There you go. Right, add more flight paths to the other one. Yeah.
More? Okay, you want more, huh? Okay.
I need more. Oh, I need to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
No problem.
More flight paths. Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know, Mel. What do you think?
More? Why would you want less flight paths?
Well, he was talking about keeping people in the world and like running around in the world, like. I don't know. Ultima Online did moon gates, and there were moon gates that you could go to, and you could gate around the world, but there were no moon gates like super close to town. So like you were always going to have to travel to town from the moon gate and stuff like that. Like, but in Ultima Online, you also could make runes and recall to a rune you had marked. So you could travel the world pretty fast, but just trying to think of how to get like something where you actually see people using the road and just traveling on the road like you would in a medieval setting.
It's the point of like people traveling on the road or making traveling more cumbersome. I think it's just the point of,
I guess that's what survival games are for, right?
Yeah, I think the point is more to make more motivation to do things in the real world, right? Not just walk around the real world. Like I think there has to be some sort of enticement to leave the major city and not just leave it to go to a dungeon or just leave it to go to a raid, right?
Yeah, the flight paths are like, it's a weird thing because like if I'm busy, I'm trying to get stuff done around the house. It was always nice to be like, okay, well, I have to take this long flight path. I'll go ahead and take the dogs out when I get on that flight path, right? But then at the same time, it might be cooler just to travel there and like maybe not even have a hearth, and like you got to get out of the dungeon that you got into. But I don't know, like it kind of sounds.
Think just adding more flight paths, like there's certain places where it's just like obviously they should have a flight path there. And it just makes it so that there's like in the Desolates, right? There's that horde base Like, just put a flight path there. Like it just makes no sense. And in like places like
But that takes people off the ground and
Fellowood.
off of the world.
But you're not adding like a ton more, right? You're adding like maybe like a few more per Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor. Like maybe like 6 more per continent. Like it's not that big of a deal.
I mean, it's what they. I mean, did they add them in TBC?
Yeah,
like more flight paths.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then also in Wrath too, I think. Like,
yeah, and add more class race combinations, right?
Dude, who was talking about that? Countdown to Classic was talking about that. Josh Corbett was like, if this game had come out in 2004 and every race could be every class, or maybe not every, because it doesn't make sense for a Tauren
be a rogue,
like rogue, and stuff like that. But if there was a bunch more like combos, nobody would have said shit. Like it would have just been cool. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That could be cool. Like, having more options.
If for whatever reason they had to add paladins to the horde, which I don't think they need to, make undead paladins a thing. I think lore wise that's awesome because like
they used to be human
paladins, right? They used to be priests. I even think there's undead paladins in the Scarlet Crusade or something like that. So like and you can add, potentially you can add more races too, right?
You can have a gnome shaman too.
Oh God, no! Can't cast that yet.
But I can't cast that yet, Decamp.
That's still recharging. Oh God! But yeah, like undead hunters, human hunters. I think like orc mages would be cool.
Human hunters.
Yeah, human hunters. Why not?
Yeah, I was flabbergasted when I started the game. I was gonna play hunter, but I wanted to be human, and I was like, "What? Aragorn was a human, and he was like the closest thing to a hunter here. Like he was a ranger.
Why can't humans be hunters? Right?
Especially the South Park episode where he's a hunter. Says that, right? Yeah.
It's just like this is the silliest thing ever. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of things you could do, but yeah, incentivizing the outdoor world. And I think you might have actually, even though you said you didn't like it, you might have been on point for the shared tags. Like shared tags on world bosses would have been great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like you would have even had Horde and Alliance working together, just like they do in the lore a lot of times to take the big bad down. And it'd be a tense situation because at any time they could turn on you, and maybe they'd want to turn on you right before the kill's done. But like,
so I see a lot of
good
and bad for both for having. So I see a lot of arguments for not having shared tags because it makes people want to group more, and I see a lot of arguments for having shared tags. Right. So
yeah,
I'm on the fence about it. I think I lean more towards about
shared tags. You'd have to have some sort of rule that your group would have to do at least a certain amount to it before it's dead.
Damage. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you wouldn't want a single person coming in and tagging it and getting it
at the very end though, and like, oh, now I gotta wait 10 minutes for it to respawn. I think faster respawns on those kind of mobs too would be nice. Like named mobs should have a little bit of a faster respawn than they do, not 10-15 minutes, whatever they are.
But I mean, honestly, like we never really did the world bosses because we knew we didn't have the numbers to be able to
have
it, right? Like
the big guilds of the mafias just had people camp there at all times. Like they were doing their office job at home during lockdown, and on one monitor they're watching, and then immediately they send out the Batman call, and all these crazies come and kill it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the main thing that I see what's wrong with having shared tags is it disincentivizes people to group, which is a bad thing.
But it could incentivize more people to experience the world events.
You would want to group more though, because your group would need to account for at least, I don't know what you'd have to say, but at least 20% or 25% of the damage done.
And if you made it like that, Bob, that could potentially fix it. Yeah, but. I think you want to incentivize people to be in groups. You want to incentivize people to work together. Classic, while is a sandbox MMO, and you want to highlight sandbox, you want to highlight MMO when it comes to Classic. You want to highlight those two things, right?
Yeah.
But I think you also have to be careful because the classic mindset, right, is there's a lot of really sweaty people and then there's a lot of really casual people too. So how do you not have the really sweaty people take over all of the things that the casual people could join in on, right? And like we were fairly sweaty and we didn't even go do world bosses, right? And so I think like you have to kind of like separate it a little bit where maybe it's only shared tags on world events, right?
Yeah,
and
there you go.
Everything else is still the same. But
It's
on
still the
world
same.
events, it's like everybody in the world can come together. You don't have to do anything. You don't even have to, you just have to be in the area by the boss when it dies and everybody gets the loot or whatever
I think
the
that's a-
event title is.
That's like
we should work
that's
on
like
Blizz, guys.
But that's the world boss though, like right now in retail, I believe. But I'm not like, that's where I say the problem comes in of single people being able to jump into this group. I think you need to form a group big enough to do enough damage to it to where you guys do get your loot also. You know what I mean?
Right.
What if the amount of loot or the type of loot you get is based on how big your group is, right? So if you're in a group of 25 or
and you're in a group of 1 and you get a radish. I like it. Okay.
You get a rat. You get 1 copper.
Yep. You get something.
You get a green maybe, but not a purple. Yeah.
All right. Well,
or something,
I think this was a good conversation. I'm going to give you guys each a chance here real quick because we're going to be wrapping up. But if you didn't get to say one last thing, give me one last thing if you want to, or I could just go ahead and start ending this out.
I think I'm good.
One last thing that I would like to see in Classic Plus. Is that what you're saying, Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I covered most of it. I think, like I said, like low level raids would be cool. Would be definitely the other thing that I would want to put in for. I think more outdoor content as well, like outdoor raids as well. So yeah.
Awesome. And guys, I was having Decamp tell his because you guys, if you listen to the show, you've heard me give a ton of different ideas over the episodes. I felt it was a lot more cool to hear Decamp's rather than me throwing all of my ideas out that I've already told you guys. So, and Mega Man sent it in a voicemail, but we lost Wiki and Decamp isn't really it. Like, he's not a Cataclysm guy, and it was kind of pertaining to that. And it was also bringing Dragonflight, and he did not play any Dragonflight. So
I did not know.
Yeah, so it's not really pertinent, and we've run out of time. But thank you for the Discord question. That was good. Thank you so much. So
for sure.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and start ending us out. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. You find out when we go live each week. It can't be the same time every week because we do guests and we have to cater to their needs and their times. So I apologize for that. Follow us on Twitter or join the Discord to see when we're live. Discord.me/Warcraft Reloaded. You can follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. If you want to send us an email, it is WCReloaded. Oh, sorry. It is WCRpodcast@gmail.com. And then, guys, Rested XP, code Reloaded, code Decamp. It is like, don't listen to Winky. I would have never gotten my 2 hardcore 60s without it. I love it, especially for vanilla. There were quest lines I had never completed in my entire life, working up dozens of tunes over the years, because they just span over 40 levels and over 5 zones. And, Rested XP will tell you when to put your stuff in the bank, and then you're going to grab it 8 levels later. Like, it's so good. I can't even tell you. Check it out. Code Reloaded or code Decamp or, code Wiki, even though he told you not to buy it. And if you'd like to help us out with Patreon, it's just at Warcraft Reloaded. You can You can, if you join the Discord and you sub to the Blazing Bob Twitch, you get a special sub rank in the Discord. Yeah, I hate doing this part. Just go to WarcraftReloaded.com. Everything you need to see is there. It'll let you know where to go for whatever you want. And we just thank you for listening. Tell your friends about it. Spam it after you get done with your GDKPs or your guild raids. Put it in Discords all over the place. Put it on Reddit. Help us out. Help us grow. Comments on YouTube. It all helps. All right. Whew. I think that's it. Def, where can we find you?
You can find me at just twitch.tv/Decamp. And also our YouTube channel, Decamp Melderon TV. I upload all of my VODs to the YouTube channel. So if you missed a VOD from a month ago, you can watch it there on YouTube, just under the playlist there. And also check out my brother's new podcast.
Yes.
It's really cool. Go check it out. It's called Chaos People on YouTube. It's a lot of fun. It's him with a buddy at work. I just did an episode all about aliens with him on there. So it was really cool.
Is it just on YouTube? Because I don't usually use YouTube
it's
for
on
podcasts.
YouTube. It's on Spotify. It's
Okay, good.
on every. Yeah.
I will
can
definitely
give you a link, to it, Bob, if Melderon gets back to me with the Spotify link.
Yeah, definitely give a link, and I'll give the links in the chat. I've been running out of podcasts because, I'm trying to find something new. I got into a new Diablo podcast, but I would love to hear Melderon's voice. I miss that guy. I would love to hear it often.
Yeah, he does it at work with his buddies, so it's once a week. So it's really cool.
Awesome.
It's just a short 1 hour podcast too.
Yeah. That is great. That's what this was going to be. It was going to be an every other week 1 hour podcast, but we found out really quick that doesn't work. That's
not easy,
wow.
No.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, guys, we're going to get. Oh wait, no, Mel. Where can we find you?
You're fine. You can't really find me anywhere. You can find me here on the podcast or in the Discord if you ping me.
All right. And you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. You can find me on Twitch and Kick at BlazinBob. And you can find me in the Discord. And yeah, you can find me in game. You guys constantly send me tells of how you love the podcast, and it honestly never gets old. Thank you so much. Shout out to, I forget his name. I was going to remember his name, but I was on my Druid and I bought gems, and I got to tell instantly from you, it was like, dude, my favorite podcaster just bought my gems. And I just got a big old kick out of that. So thank you so much, guys, for all the love. And for all you that hate, thank you for that too, especially if you hate in the YouTube comments. Hate it up. So love you guys.
Hate it up.
We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Bye.
Thank you very much for checking out Warcraft Reloaded Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future content.